Yeah, he's awesome. We stumbled upon a few Bert Sugar,
Yeah.
Westhoff.
How did John get Bert? Was that just
Colin.
I mean, for John to go to Bert, that's a boxing guy. I mean, I know John liked boxing a little bit. I think his dad did, but I mean, I don't know if it was a book he wrote that we got him. I mean, because we had Bert every Tuesday during football season, the lovable losers. He made us picks.
Yeah, and I don't know if John found him on his own and just liked him.
Well, we loved him, so well played.
Oh, Adam.
Adam, come on.
Way.
Come on.
No
now.
way.
Come on now.
No,
I'm going to say my
way.
son texted me the moment after because my son is not a Carson Beck supporter because he didn't like him at Georgia. And all he said was, Carson's going to Carson.
It's a shame, too, because if he put some loft on that, that's a touchdown.
It was a bad ball. I didn't like, it might have been.
I don't think that safety's getting over in time.
Okay.
If he throws that ball with air under it into the end zone, I'm not sure that safety gets there.
Hey, everybody. 5 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Tuesday. Anything going on in the sports world these days, huh? How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. It's funny, Mark. I'm back in my cozy confines of Jacksonville, and it's only about 8 degrees colder than it was in Boston yesterday.
Welcome to Floridica.
It's been a little cooler this January than I think those of us who have moved to the Sunshine State would like. Thank you very much.
Yes. I remember there was one year that we had much worse temperatures. I'm going back, I don't know, probably might even be 15 years, where I just remember all the fish died, all the snook, people that are, backwater fishermen and fisher people and fisher women, couldn't keep snook for a long time because they were all floating. We had like a week of frigid weather. But this is chilly. I think this is the end of it. I believe. I did see 60s this afternoon, so I'm very encouraged. And I know this weekend the weather is supposed to be back to normal for the Sunshine State, so that is a good thing. But we have a new national champion. The dream season was completed last night. Indiana, in a very good game, beat the Miami Hurricanes. Miami had, all you could ask for, David. We talk about it all the time with what we do, particularly with what you do, formerly on Saturdays and now with ESPN and Monday Night Football. Can we get a game into the fourth quarter?
Yep.
And we had a game, and the Canes had an opportunity, and Carson Beck's pass came, a couple yards short. He underthrew that ball. It was picked off, and Indiana completes the dream season. The Hoosiers, the Indiana Hoosiers, are the national champions in football.
In football, third championship in a row for the Big Ten, third different school to win the Natty from the Big Ten in consecutive years.
And David, this is something you would normally do, But we do this little segment. For those of you that don't listen for the entire 4 hours, at the end of the show, we do a couple of things. One of them is today was the day when. And it was 46 years ago today that right after President Reagan was inaugurated, the hostages were released. And one of the first things they did for the hostages upon returning to the United States was show them a video of all the things that they missed in their over 400 days in captivity in Iran. And one of the things that the hostages pretty much all talked about that perhaps made them smile more than any other was seeing the Miracle on Ice highlights. And I thought about that this morning, in that if you were to have taken someone who had been gone for the last 460 so days, and they would have missed most of last college football season,
Very
not
much
all
so.
of it, but certainly the playoff, and they would have missed this college football season, and you were to have showed them a video at some point today of what they missed, you wonder if they would have gotten up and said, is that fact or fiction? Because while I'm not putting Indiana at the same level as Miracle on Ice, it's the greatest sports moment in our country. But you are talking about a team that was the most losing team in the history of college football before Curt Cignetti took over. And they just completed an undefeated season, beating some college football royalty on the way to do so. And I know Penn State had a down year, but they beat the Nittany Lions. They beat Ohio State. They beat Alabama, and then they beat Miami to complete the job for the national championship. It's unthinkable a couple of years ago. It truly is. I've said on this show for a while, it's the best college football, best coaching hire this century, and it's inarguable. It might be one of the best coaching hires in the history of sports. What a job by the entire coaching staff, and that football team yesterday, because they needed all of it. They needed Mendoza to have the great fourth down run. They needed the defense at the end to pick off the Carson Beck pass to secure the victory. And they obviously needed special teams with the blocked punt propelling them to the victory.
Boy,
A complete team. What a job by the Hoosiers last night.
What a breakdown by Miami. I mean, Indiana only rushed 5 guys. They were playing safe. They were setting up a return.
Yeah, 87 for Miami. Just whiffed.
Wow.
If you look at it, that was the guy.
So obviously a big 7 points. It kind of gave Indiana the separation in the second half that they needed, and they were able to hold on. Mark, I'll go a step further if it's possible. You said, like, if we recreated 45 years later, and showed a video of here's what you've missed over the last 450 days. And I would argue, how many people thought this was possible in late August of last year, coming off of the 11-2 season that Indiana had posted? But when they played Ohio State on the road and they played Notre Dame on the road, they got shellacked. The Ohio State game was misleading. How ironic. What did them in against Ohio State last year? Special teams. They had a punt blocked and a punt return for a touchdown and what have you. But, I mean, they got shellacked when they played the 2 best teams on their schedule. Now, it was the 2 teams that also played for the national championship. But, I mean, seriously, Mark, they were preseason number 20. Number 20. I mean, that's almost like patting you on the head. You were in the playoff the year before, and we're making you preseason number 20 this year. And it's their way of saying, no, we see you. We recognize you. And, this is an ode to what you accomplished last year. We don't think all that much of you this year. We don't think that you'll duplicate what you did last year. I mean, we don't think you'll make the playoff again. But you might go 8-4. Road games at Penn State, at Iowa, at Oregon. You got an early season tilt against preseason number 12, Illinois. I mean, you might go 8-4. we'll pat you on the head and say, hey, it's nice that you're playing real college football, and congratulations on last year. Yeah, we don't have high expectations for you this year.
In fact, the guy that you and I probably trust when it comes to prognosticating college football, Phil Steele, had them in a tie for 5th in the Big Ten. Tied with Illinois, Indiana, USC, and Nebraska.
16-0. 16-0. And they're an all-around team. And yes, I loved last night's game. You all know that if you listen to the show. That's exactly the kind of football I like, where every possession felt significant. The value of a first down, the little things. One missed block led to a touchdown. The fourth down, Mendoza wasn't great, but the 2 big fourth down plays, he converted one with his legs, and he threw the back shoulder and the wide receiver. As Mark has pointed out, those wide receivers seem to make terrific catches time after time after time, and that ball was thrown low and away, and the kids fall into the ground near the sidelines, and he catches that sucker with no room to bobble it. And he just sucked that thing out of the air, first down, and they went on to score when Miami had cut it to 3. It was a team win. They're a terrific team. Do I think they beat the 95 Cornhuskers, the 01 Canes? Hell no. No, I don't. And rattle off whatever teams you want to rattle off. But do I think this is clearly one of the 10 best seasons in the history of the sport? Oh, goodness, yes. 16 wins? 16 wins? Hell, you go back in the day, you won a natty with 11. 16.
And
no blemishes.
To your point, David, you said it, the exact words. I'm repeating them. A team win. Every facet of their team. And little things that, to me, made a big difference. They blocked really well. We compared the lines. I think they blocked better than the Hurricanes yesterday. They caught the ball better than the Hurricanes yesterday. Their special teams were clearly better than the Miami Hurricanes. And the other thing they did and did really well was tackle. I don't know if they had more than a couple missed tackles the entire game. Miami certainly had more missed tackles than did Indiana. And you're right. I don't know if either quarterback played great football, but in the times of need, Mendoza made the plays, and those receivers don't miss balls. Don't ask me how, but they catch everything that's close to them.
So congratulations. Awesome story. Well-earned. A well-earned title. And I would like to think after last night, in which literally going to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and getting in a phone booth with the Canes and coming out victorious, that you look at that Indiana team and you're like, wow, they got everything. They're skilled, they're well coached, and they're tough. They are tough. You can't win a national championship at the highest level of sport if you're not tough. Okay. Mendoza may have that big smile and it's Indiana and they're a little undersized and you think it's a cute story. Yeah, they're tough. They are tough.
No doubt. In our 8 o'clock hour today, we'll talk with Terry Bowden, the former college football coach, about the national championship. But we'll go to Buffalo in the 7 o'clock hour. They fired McDermott late in our show yesterday, and we'll talk to Chris Perkins, because after our show, the Miami Dolphins made a hire. All of that coming up. Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, Cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You talking about 28 there, Big OC? Is that the D-back who just got beat all night long?
I don't think they're the oldest one ever assembled, but they're the oldest one to win the title, I think. I think anybody who criticizes the roster that they put together is just a sore sport. Okay. He picked a bunch of guys that at that level nobody wanted. Okay. He formed them into a team. They played like a team and they won. And they're a bunch of good, solid players. I don't know how much greatness there is on that team, but they're very good everywhere. They don't make mistakes. They force you to beat you. And nobody did it. Yeah, EB, we should. And also guys are applying for 5th, 6th, 7th. Hell, there's a kid right now who's 9 years removed from high school who's in college football. What I want are the networks, and I think NBC is the one who does it the most, in which they do the players introducing themselves. Going forward, I want the kids to list all the colleges they played for, not the last one. And if they didn't graduate, they say, J.P. Stevens High School.
Well, I think they started just saying whatever they want. I mean, Travis Kelce was giving his preschool at some point.
Right.
He's done it so much. I think it's fantastic. It used to be one of my favorite parts of the NBC games, just because I liked hearing where they went to college, and so many of them started doing other crap. That one, I don't want to say jumped the shark. I just don't like it as much, because sometimes it's funny.
But that's what I want them to do from now on. If I'm NBC, I'm like, you have to list all your colleges that you played for.
Or just say transfer portal. Now, that would be funny. I don't know if they'd have enough time, David, to get through all this.
No, I know. That's the point. That's the point. So-and-so. Running back, Indiana, James Madison, Ferris State.
My mom was a hummingbird. My dad was a brick of cocaine.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. Jon Scott in a little more than an hour. He works out of Buffalo. What a story that was, which came about during the final hour of our show yesterday. So while we reacted to it, obviously, in the final two segments yesterday, many of you likely didn't hear it because of the time of day that it happened. I'm still getting over it. The Bills blaming Sean McDermott, firing him. 9 years, made the playoffs, 8 of them, won 98 regular season games during those 9 years. Went 8-8 in the playoffs. He's the one holding them back. To take the next step, they got to move forward.
On that note, and I want to revisit this a little more. I don't want to just jump forward right away. But on that note, because if we worked in Buffalo today, my nomination for a poll question would be, in order for the move to fire McDermott to be correct, within how many years must the Bills play for a Super Bowl?
Well,
that's obviously the only thing that matters to them.
Yes, but to me, in order for this to be the right move, whoever they choose as their next coach, and I think it's going to be Brian Daboll, whoever they choose as their next coach, they have to go to the Super Bowl while he's still the coach.
And the new window's about 3 or 4 years.
Josh Allen will be 30 next season. So it might be a touch longer than that. Although I would think that he'll stop being Superman here real soon because it was just taking too much of a beating.
I think it's 3 years, David. I think that's the window for this coach to get to a Super Bowl. 3 years. And Bills fans may even think it's more quickly than that. I text 2 Bills fans, one that I'm very good friends with, one that I'm friends with. The one that I'm very good friends with simply said not surprised. Didn't say, he was happy, unhappy, said not surprised. The other one responded rather quickly with, it's about time. Wow.
Yep.
Another friend of mine She's a diehard Bills fan, and she knows her ball a little bit. This is her team. Saw her post on Facebook. She was happy. You and I have a mutual friend that I'm guessing texted you yesterday. Was he happy about the news?
He wanted him gone 2 years ago.
That was the gal on social media's comment. She wanted him fired after the 13 seconds.
Now, all right, a lot of the Bills fans I know, though, see, as part of this, Brandon Beane gets a promotion. Brandon Beane is now totally in charge of the football operation. Mark, I'll say this. What the Bills did yesterday was what Seattle did 2 years ago with Pete Carroll. All right. Now, Pete was willing, because Pete was the final say on personnel, not John Schneider. And Pete was willing to give John final say. He wanted to stay on as coach. They said, no, I think it's time for a clean break. We thank you for everything that you've done. I will at least give the Seahawks credit 2 years ago. Okay, when they moved off of Pete Carroll, they didn't say he did an admirable job. I mean, really, Mr. Pagula? Seriously? McDermott did an admirable job? Admirable. Are you kidding? Come on now. All right. That's the best adjective you could come up with in an official press release? You said he did an admirable job? Yeah, you should have all your employees be that admirable. Give me a break. That's insulting. Don't compliment him at all. Just announce you're firing him, you're moving on. You wish him and his family well. There's a new sheriff in town. His name's Brandon Beane. Admirable job. Kiss my ass, admirable job. Seriously. It's why, by the way, I think if you noticed, McDermott eventually released something yesterday. He didn't say a word about the Bills organization. He thanked the fans and Mafia and the people of Buffalo and practically credited them with raising his kids. Okay, he didn't say anything about the Bills organization. Because I'm pretty sure he feels like he just got stabbed in the back by Brandon Beane. And he certainly is getting blamed. He's being blamed. He's who held the Bills back.
I will look at this. I will say, I'm not going to blame Coach Sean McDermott, but personnel director Sean McDermott, if indeed this is his roster, and you know what I mean by that, David.
Mm-hmm.
Not Beane's roster, but McDermott's roster. There's blame to give there.
Yeah,
there is.
No doubt. Absolutely.
We've talked about it a lot this year.
Yeah. I don't know why they have the cap issues that they have when they really have three players that everybody else wants. They have a left tackle, a running back, and a quarterback. And otherwise, what are you doing overpaying everybody else?
A lot of guys on defense that weren't very good.
Yeah, Russo's okay. Okay. Oliver can't stay healthy. But you guys paying these guys, you keep going back to the Matt Milano well.
Milano's terrific, but he doesn't stay healthy.
No, and he's an undersized linebacker. So when it comes time to play big boy football, he can't. But, hey, there's no doubt. The 13 seconds, that was 4 years ago, by the way. And that was in the divisional round, but they would have hosted the AFC Championship game if they had held on to that lead. But listen, Mark, 2 years after Seattle said, thanks, we wish you the best to Pete Carroll, they threw a 10-win season on the board with McDonald. They revamped the team on the fly. Remember, we've commented for 2 off seasons in a row. This is pretty bold because Seattle had won 9 games 3 years in a row, made the playoffs 2 of those 3 years, and they revamped the roster on the fly and got better while doing it with a first-time head coach.
Right. The roster and the organization, basically, a new person picking players, a new person coaching players. Oh, by the way, a new quarterback. Those are 3 pretty key components to your organization, David.
Yeah.
This just in.
But look how well it's worked out for Seattle. Now, we didn't crush the Seahawks 2 years ago. We didn't. We kind of understood it. Plus, Pete was like 71 years old. It's like, okay. If you think now is time, they seem to have plateaued. He's got the 9-7, 9-8 thing going on right now. I get it. And look at Seattle, the 1 seed and hosting the NFC title game 2 years later. So that's what Buffalo's looking for. That's why they made the move that they move. I mean, Mark, I can relate to this. This is the Knicks getting rid of Tom Thibodeau. Took them to Game 6 of the conference finals.
Hey, it's the Bucks getting rid of Dungy for you football guys. I mean, it is.
It is. It is. The difference, though, and I'll be very curious to hear from the players, all right, the Bucks defensive players to a man, when Dungy got let go, said, we love Tony Dungy. It was time. We're not going to go to and win a Super Bowl with the offense that he insists on running.
Bills players yesterday, a lot of them went to social media and were not happy. Many a player voicing their displeasure over the firing of Sean McDermott.
But let's be honest, there's only one player's quotes we're looking for.
And we've not heard a thing from him yet.
Bingo.
But the Dolphins, they have a new coach. The Titans, they have a new coach. So the jobs are being filled. We'll get to that and everything else that you may have missed with the starting five. It's next on Miller and Moulton.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Where do you want to go for a poll question today, David?
I don't know.
Would you have fired McDermott? We could go Dolphins. Your excitement level of the new coach.
Yeah, I think try to go that route.
It's National Cheese Day. Other than American, what's David's favorite cheese? You pick.
Take it easy now. Come on.
Just making
about-
sure you're paying attention over there. I'm having a little fun.
How about American or Swiss? Or provolone? American, Swiss, provolone.
For your favorite cheese?
Well, I'm just common cheeses. Like what cheese do you put on your sandwich? It's today's National Cheese Day. What cheese do you put on your sandwich? American / cheddar, provolone, Swiss. I mean, when you go out and get a sub, those are basically your choices. There's no other cheese that gets put on your sandwich. So what cheese do you choose?
I can put that up there.
I mean,
I'm going to separate American and cheddar because they need to be separated.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Spivey. I love the fact that my daughter hates American cheese. Makes me so proud. Feel like I've done a good job already.
So, National Cheese Day, what cheese do you put on your sandwich?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Jon Scott, who covers the Bills, he'll join us 1 hour from now. Chris Perkins, we're moving everything up this week. Pat Kerwin came on yesterday. He normally comes on today. Chris Perkins normally comes on tomorrow. He's coming on today because the Dolphins couldn't wait. Apparently, they were afraid of losing their guy. I would have let him get on the plane personally, but that's me. And we haven't talked to him in a while, but 2 hours from now, Terry Bowden will come on the show, talk about the Natty that Indiana won and this remarkable season from the former coach's perspective. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
And you know the drill by now. The Starting Five brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through bread, steaks, and tamales. BST. Business, sports, and tourism. See, the problem is you can't use any of what you would use in BLT. So I can't go bacon and I can't go tomato. So I got to come up with a new B and a new T. S is easy. You just go steaks. But Lee County, BST, business, sports, and tourism. Congratulations to the Hoosiers of Indiana. An undefeated national championship in football. Indiana completes the 16-0 season with a 27-21 hard-fought win over the Canes. Indiana led 10-0 at the half. Blocked a punt for a touchdown when it was a 3-point game late third quarter. Canes never led in this one, but they were down 6 and had the ball with under 2 minutes to go. And they were right around midfield, just past it. And Carson Beck went for the whole shebang and threw into double coverage and did put a little loft on it, and it got picked off at the 6-yard line with 44 seconds to go. Indiana, in many ways, controlled this game. They ran 72 plays to Miami's 53. Miami offensively had figured Indiana out or had worn them out, one or the other. But they had scored touchdowns on their last 3 possessions before the Carson Beck interception. Congratulations to IU. 3rd straight champion to come from the Big Ten, and the 3rd different school. Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana. NFL. Bills fired Sean McDermott yesterday morning. He was there 9 years and went to the playoffs 8 times. They averaged 11 wins a year during the regular season. They went 8-8 in the playoffs, however, made 2 AFC championship games, never got to the Super Bowl. Bills ownership said he, quote, did an admirable job, unquote. Brandon Beane promoted to Grand Poobah in the football organization. He's now president of football operations and general manager. He'll be calling all the shots, including who the next coach is. Speculation is rampant. It'll be former Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, who did turn Josh Allen into Josh Allen. He had him when he was a ball of clay and helped make him the elite quarterback that he's turned into. Couple of hirings yesterday. First one by the Dolphins. They announced they hired Green Bay defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley.
Green Bay South, baby.
Yep. They're GMs from Green Bay, and now their coaches as well. Hafley was about ready to board a plane and head to Nashville. Once the Dolphins hired him and he didn't board that plane, the Titans hired Robert Saleh to be their head coach. So we have 6 openings now. Arizona in the NFC, Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Vegas in the AFC. Lions are going to hire former Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing to be their OC. And Denver has opened the 21-day practice window for running back J.K. Dobbins, which means he's eligible to play in the AFC Championship game and if they make it to the Super Bowl. Dobbins leads the team in rushing, even though he hasn't played since November 6th. Seahawks, bad news. Zach Charbonneau torn ACL, obviously out the rest of the playoffs. The Michigan State kid, Kenneth Walker, is going to have to handle the role.
You know, and they're different runners. You know, Walker moves a lot, makes moves. Charbonneau kind of puts his foot down and hits the hole, and it's a good 1-2 punch. So how will this affect the Seahawks?
9 games in the NBA last night. Miami went to Golden State, got whacked by the Warriors 135-112, but awful news for Golden State. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL in the 3rd quarter. Obviously out for the year. The Knicks were down 28 points at home at the half to the Dallas Mavericks. Those are some expensive seats at Madison Square Garden. Let me tell you. Dallas beat the Knicks by 17, 114-97. Giannis had 21 points, 17 rebounds. Milwaukee edged Atlanta 112-110. OKC has got their groove back. They went into Cleveland, beat the Cavs by 32, 136-104. SGA with 30. Game of the night was in Detroit. Back and forth down the stretch. Jaylen Brown missed the game-winning shot at the buzzer. Pistons hold on and beat the Celtics 104-103. A battle of the 2 best teams in the East. I could do 6-7 games over 2 weeks between these two.
I had it on across from the Natty last night. It was it was not just back and forth late. It was pretty much back and forth the whole game. No one had a really big lead. Good basketball game.
Clippers have won 6 in a row. Harden with 36. They edged the Wizards in Washington 110-106. Wemby, 33 points, 10 rebounds. Spurs beat Utah by 13. Tyrese Maxey with 29. Sixers over the Pacers by 9. And Dylan Brooks and Devin Booker combined for 50. And Phoenix beat Brooklyn 126-117. They announced the starters for the All-Star game in the NBA yesterday, if you care about such a thing. The Western Conference is Luka, Steph, SGA, Jokic, and Wemby. It's not bad.
No, it's not.
That'll play.
Yep.
The East, you've got Jalen Brunson and Cade Cunningham in the backcourt. Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey are the forwards, and Giannis is the big. If you've noticed, LeBron James is not a starter. First time since his rookie year that LeBron James has not been named a starter in the All-Star game. He started 21 All-Star games in a row from 05 through 25. Now it'll be interesting. Do they even put him on the team? Because he hasn't announced it's his final season.
Now, the patch kind of showing that it might be, but.
Now, Jordan's final year, he wasn't a starter either, but he was put on the team. And he was averaging like 20 a game. Was he an all-star? Oh, he's Michael Jordan. And not only did they put him on the team, but Vince Carter, another Tar Heel, was a starter that year. And he said to Jordan pregame, "You're taking my place in the starting lineup." And Jordan said, "No, man, I can't." And Vince said, "Michael, I'm not going on the court. You're starting your final All-Star game." And apparently, like Iverson and a whole bunch of them weren't going to go out for the opening tip if Jordan wasn't in the starting lineup. I wonder if they'll do that for LeBron. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no way.
I'm kind of with you there, David.
10 games in the NHL. A wild one in Fort Lauderdale. San Jose beat the Panthers 4-1. It was the return of Matthew Tkachuk, his first game of the year for Florida. So that's the good news. There was a goalie fight. And I mean a fight. They went after it.
And there really wasn't any other fights. I mean, usually when this happens, it's a 5-on-5 line brawl and the goalies get after it.
Right.
The San Jose goalie kind of put himself in a scrum and threw a bit of a push, punch, whatever you want to call it. And that was enough for Bobrovsky to say, "I'm skating 200 feet.
He did. He did. And he kept his mask on, though. I got to admit, got to take it off next time. The goalie ended up taking it off of him. So they both had their masks off.
Well, he lost the fight. He lost.
Yeah.
He clearly lost the fight.
No, Bob got beat by Alex Nebeljovic.
I was going to leave that name for you.
Thank you. Of the San Jose Sharks. And San Jose beat the Panthers 4-1. Anaheim beat the Rangers 5-3. This Nathan McKinnon guy is pretty good, Mark. 2 goals and a helper. He's now at 1,100 career points. Is he 30 yet? Did he just turn 30? He's at 1,100 points, and I think he's turning 30. It's not bad.
He just turned 30.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I'm just saying. All right, might want to look out for him. Colorado beat Washington 5-2. Sid with 2 assists. Pittsburgh doubled up the Kraken 6-3. Minnesota by the same score over Toronto. How about this? Okay, Marcus Foligno for Minnesota had only scored 3 goals all year. He had a hat trick last night. You got to love sports. Carolina over Buffalo 2-1. Philly by the same score over Vegas. There was a moment in Chicago last night which was amazing. Jonathan Toews, their captain during their glory last decade, when they won 3 cups, went to like 6 Western finals. All right. And Toews is now in his mid-30s, and he signed with Winnipeg. And this was his first game back in Chicago. So the first time out, they showed the video, minute and a half video. It was great. It was awesome. The Blackhawks fans gave him a 4-minute standing ovation. Would not let the game resume, would not let him go to the bench. It was beautiful. Goosebumps. Great job by the Blackhawks fans. Great job. Chicago shut out Winnipeg 2-0. Jersey 2-1 over Calgary in overtime. And Vancouver's lost 11 in a row. Islanders beat them 4-3. Australian Open's underway, whether you're watching or not. No major upsets so far, although they are playing right now. Djokovic won his 100th match in the first round at the Aussie. Venus Williams got a wild card entry and was up 4-love in the third set and blew it. Lost 6-4 in the third. She's 45. She's never won the Australian. Lost to her sister in 2 finals. 14 years apart, by the way. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was the starting 5. Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through bananas, steaks, and tamales. BST, business, sports, and tourism.
I like the tamales. I like that you added a good tamale is a delicious thing.
It's underrated. I would agree with that. But I couldn't go tomatoes because BLT. And turnip just it's not enough there. I mean, really building a better community through turnips. I mean,
turnips have less carbs than potatoes. And in different health runs in my life, I tried to do that. And when my dad was still alive, I made like a turnip au gratin. And we didn't tell my father because there was no way he would have eaten the turnips. And my son was a young teenager. And when I asked my dad if he wanted more, he said, sure. And my son couldn't help but laugh because he was in on the joke. And at that point, my dad realized something was amiss and then said, what are these? And I said, well, they're turnips, Dad. I knew it. I knew there was something wrong with them. Like, that's, of course, why you asked for a second helping. Miller and Moulton.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, Ajapi, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I don't know, Spitz. I mean, probably not, but it seems like now with, just the influx of so many Latin people in the United States, it seems like you could get good Latin food, good Mexican food, whatever you want to call it, anywhere. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I know up in Michigan, I see people raving about different taco joints and things like that. I don't know what the Northeast is like. I get it. I just didn't think he bobbled it, DC. That's my argument with Cowherd. And I'm, like I said yesterday, I'm fine with them wanting to call it an interception. What my disgust is that they didn't take any time to look at it. Nick, not so much, because Dos Sabores on Three Oaks is so good, and it's such a clean place. And I just like the vibe in the place. I think they do a terrific job. The tacos are, I think, better. They're just the same. They're the same price. So, I do Dos Sabores more. I'll get it to go, and I'll go sit down there. I think they just do such a nice job. And a friend of mine helped them do their expansion. So he knew the owner, knows the owner, and likes him, and I think their staff's good. And that gas station is filthy. I mean, it was a good spot to run in and grab tacos to go, but that gas station's filthy. Very good, very good. The burritos. I was trying to think of what the S was there. Good job with salsa. I don't know why, but I'd still might go burritos, salsa, tamales. I like the tamales. David, back up or a second. I have not, Paul. I have to look that up. Second poll question: what is your level of excitement for the new Dolphins head coach Jeff Hafley? Great hire, good hire. Who the hell is he? Based on your reaction, it has been posted. So 2 poll questions are up. I'm writing it down now, Paul.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday after a huge Monday in the sports world, most of it football. But Indiana won the national championship with an undefeated season in college football at the highest level. They didn't drop down 2 years ago after becoming the losingest team in the history of the sport at the Division 1A level. They stayed at that level, hired a new coach, made the playoffs 2 years in a row, and won the national championship last night, capping off a 16-0 season, beating the Canes 27-21, never trailed in the game.
Got a great text on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. By the way, that number's 21,000. If you've never dialed it before, you need to type a keyword. The keyword's Miller. Text that to 21,000. Then we'd love to hear from you. We got a couple of poll questions. So if you're not on X, you can answer them that way. But this person simply says, this is my official petition to name Mendoza's 4th and 5 QB draw the Who's Your Daddy run. Well played, sir. Well played. I wanted to respond, but I wanted to read it on air more. Another texter says, as a Hurricanes fan, Cristobal cost us 10 points. Good game. So you're blaming him for the special teams mishaps. Okay. I mean, I guess you can put that on the head coach, but that's the special teams coordinator. And I will say I didn't like the way, I don't know about you at the end of the first half. I wasn't sure just sitting and settling for the 3 the way they did and, working off time. I don't know. I might have gone for that there. I don't know if I loved how they ended the first half, David. I don't know what your thoughts are there.
Well, special teams cost them 10 points, and it's not an easy field goal, but you expect to make it these days, and the kid dunked it. And so that's 3, and then they had the block punt. And so, offense and defense, it was pretty close to a stalemate. Indiana was in control in the first half. Miami had them figured out in the second half, whether they were wearing them down or they had them figured out. Miami was moving the ball. Miami put 260 yards of offense on the board in the second half. Miami moved the ball.
After having, I think, 14 plays in the first half or whatever. I mean, they didn't have very many plays at all. That was not total. The last drive put them over that. I apologize. But, the plays were 2-1 in the first half at one point. By the way, David, some BST nominations.
Oh, I think I've created a monster, haven't I?
Bagels, strudel, and toast. Someone sticking with breakfast. I'm impressed there. Also going classical music, Beethoven, Strauss, and Tchaikovsky. Easy for me to say. So for those of you that don't know that, you don't know if I screwed up or said it right. We did get a couple of poll questions up. Today is National Cheese Day. And you'd have to go back with this show a long way to understand how much I've abused one David Moulton over cheese. But we went with the popular choices of cheese for your sandwich.
Right.
Which
for your
cheese
sandwich.
you put on your sandwich.
Right. Not cheese and crackers, not a cheese spread at the house. You're getting a sandwich. For the most part, there are 4 cheeses available to you.
Cheddar, Swiss, provolone, and plastic. I mean American. Those are your choices. Right now, provolone off to a good start. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller _Moulton on X. But I also added one. Jeff Hafley is the new head coach of the Dolphins.
Who?
What is your level of excitement for the Dolphins' new head coach?
Who?
Great hire. Good hire. Who the hell is he?
Who?
Right.
Jeff Hafley. Well, they wouldn't let him get on the plane and go to Nashville.
You had a lot of coaching interviews. He was apparently, a hot commodity. He was the coach at BC, then went to the Packers as their defensive coordinator. Without Micah, did that defense enamor you? It's not about, at the end of the day, to me, what kind of a defensive coordinator he was. It's how well can he lead men? How well can he lead other coaches? But they put together a staff with some synergy. They hired the GM from Green Bay. Now they've hired the coach from Green Bay. Is that a good thing? There are ways that I certainly think that it is, David. I mean, Green Bay's a good organization. So can these two get things going for Miami and put together a team that Dolph fans will be happy with? We will see.
Well, Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane both came from Carolina together in Buffalo. Had a pretty good 9-year run. Then again, Joe Shane and Brian Daboll came from Buffalo together with the Giants. So, we'll see how it works out. Jeff Hafley with the Dolphins. Robert Saleh with the Titans. Two defensive guys, by the way.
And I would be curious, someone just text the show. As soon as we put that up, the text kind of popped in pretty quickly. And the first one I read after one who said we're Green Bay South, I think you should be okay with that, by the way. I mean, come on now.
Is there a Dolph fan alive if we said the next 35 years for you will go the way the last 35 years have gone in Green Bay? Would you sign up for that?
And someone else said, I just looked up Webster's definition of insanity and found the Dolphins owner picture. It's another coach without head coaching experience. Does that matter to you? Based on who's out there, we're going to get a lot of this. But like Tennessee went back with Saleh. It didn't work the first time. Who do you blame it on? Do you blame it on Saleh? Do you blame it on the fact that he was with the Jets and nothing works there? Did he learn enough from his first time head coaching that this one will be better? We'll see. So a bunch of coaches still going to get hired, and I have a feeling there's not going to be a lot of retreads. I think we're going to see a lot of first-time head coaches, David. And we watched a bunch succeed this year. Liam Cohen did a great job. Ben Johnson did a great job. Aaron Glenn, not so much.
If you came from Green Bay, if you had a choice between Jeff Hafley and Mike McCarthy, who would you hire? I mean, don't you think that's a fair question for this new GM of the Dolphins? Hey, let's just say you were going to hire somebody, you knew, you were comfortable with. Why not Mike McCarthy?
And, David, I have never been a retread guy, but having spent a lot of time with Pat Kerwin, not just on the show, but I've been lucky enough that I consider Pat a friend, and we see each other every once in a while. Pat's beat us about the head and chest for a dozen years that you need to have done this before. So there's part of me that would lean McCarthy there. Another texter. We took a shot at a no-name coach last time, no pedigree, no big name to draw players. See, now, I don't think the big name to draw players matters. Maybe in your first year it does for free agents. But let's be honest here. When we look at the Dolphins specifically, they don't have the money to go out and get big free agents this year. So if this guy proves himself and they make enough headway in the 2026 season, then they'll be able to get free agents. And you don't, remember didn't the Dolphins go out and spend a lot of money on a defensive free agent a long time ago? That didn't work at all.
Yeah, actually, the Dolphins have gone the big money route a lot of times. What they haven't gone is the solid scouting, drafting, development route. I mean, they haven't. Dolphins are always trying to take shortcuts. I just hope this new GM's a better personnel guy than what they've had.
That's the key, David. You're absolutely right. They've missed with too many draft picks, and they're going to need their draft picks to pay off because, as I just mentioned, there's no cap room here. If you're going to cut Tua, you're getting rid of Tyreek, they're up against it. They've got to build this team from the ground up. Now, David a while ago had predicted that Shula's grandson would get the job. That would have definitely helped sell more tickets than the guy they hired. Would he be a better coach? I have no idea. Both defensive guys, this guy's very highly thought of. We don't know if it'll work. But I do know, and I think you agree, David, Ross has given Stavs enough time to try to prove it.
Oh, yeah. He just hasn't hired the right people. And we obviously have no idea if he's just hired 2 studs or 2 stiffs. We don't know. And it's probably going to take 3 years to find out. So, okay. I mean, here's what I like. He at least has gone outside the organization. He tried it for a generation, doing it from within, and it obviously didn't work. So now at least he's going outside his comfort zone. He's hiring people he has no experience in relationship with. And he's trusting some football advisors to tell him these are good football people. All right? You're hiring the right guy. Huh? Okay. We'll see. I mean, he hasn't been able to do it himself. He hasn't. So, all right. Might as well try it another way. No sense thinking you can do it when the track record says you can't. That would be the definition of insanity for the Dolphin fans who are critical of this hire. No, the definition of insanity would have been to keep on keeping on from within.
So a new regime in Miami, we have no idea. And we won't know next year if it worked. This is going to take time. This is a total rebuild. They put themselves in cap jeopardy, and they have to fix it. When we come back, I've got some news. It affects the show. We'll talk about it next. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family-owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7, this is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WILD.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No, it's not an insult. He's the best teaser in the business. May not like the
just-
show, but there's no better teaser in our business than Mike Greenberg.
Yeah,
No better.
Only the folks at Entertainment Tonight tease. me.
Yeah, he's great at it.
He's great at teasing.
I'll take that that's a big, to me, that's a monster compliment. It really is.
Oh.
No insult at all. That's for sure. Pinchers on McGregor. Oh, that's kind of by where Rondeau's is. Is that? I don't know where Pinchers on McGregor is. No, that's the one that's way down going. You talking about going towards the beach? That's
Yeah.
like San Carlos Boulevard by then, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there used to be a Pinchers in that McGregor Plaza across from Rondeau's, but I don't think they've been there for a while.
Right. He bought. Didn't he buy? I don't know where. Isn't he? Where's his Fort Myers Beach one's the old Holiday Inn. I don't even know where.
No. That one got destroyed in the hurricane, not to be rebuilt.
Okay. Beached Whale reopened recently, and was with a guy on Sunday that was there and said it's great. I loved that. Was really the first place I went to when I moved here, because I lived on Fort Myers Beach, and me and actually my first wife and Kessel used to go to the Whale to watch Red Wing playoff games.
I used to love sitting up top.
Oh, it was the best. The best.
Wife and I went there so often.
The same Salte Pepper that's in Marco, Paula? Because that's a great restaurant. Well, the point of the tease, Michael, is that you talk about it when you come back on air.
Right. It's to keep you listening.
It's to keep you listening. So
During the
I really
break.
wouldn't do it during the commercial break.
Defeats the point of the tease.
Welcome back to Radio 101.
Michael's like,
Well,
I don't
next-
want to wait. I
next
don't want
we'll
to wait.
Promos.
I don't care what you're trying to do. I don't want to wait.
I texted Felipe yesterday. I said, did you weasel your way into a pass? And he basically said the two guys that got credentialed, because obviously so many people wanted them, were the guys that basically been covering Miami sports for where he works since before he was born.
Right.
But he did work like he did like the tailgate and got into the parking lot and watched from there while he was editing his story.
First-hand accounts told me it was 60-40 IU.
It looked that.
Just saying, I thought it might actually be more IU.
Right. I know you had a bad experience at the Mellencamp show. I did not realize he donated a pretty big chunk of money a few years ago to Indiana football.
Uh-huh.
And used to like to go to games because no one was there. He could sit by himself and smoke inside the place.
Probably the worst press box of the major college football and NFL venues. Probably the worst press box.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. 2 poll questions. It's National Cheese Day. So we're asking, what's your cheese of choice on a sandwich? Go to get a sandwich. All right. Cheddar, American, provolone, Swiss. Those are pretty much the choices that you have. What's your sandwich choice of cheese? And Dolphins hired a new coach, Jeff Hafley. What do you think? Former defense coordinator in Green Bay, where he did a good job. Great hire. Good hire. Who the hell's Jeff Hafley? So
that's winning, by the way. 7 of 10. Who the hell is Jeff Hafley? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. So I gave a tease there. I will fulfill the tease. I will not play entertainment tonight and wait until 10, till 9:50 to fulfill the tease.
Oh, that's nice of you.
David and I both, David probably more than me loves comedians, but particularly the old bits of probably the 80s and when Carlin used to do the hour specials on HBO. Those are some of my favorites, and I believe some of David's. David actually saw one of them live in person on a blind date, which is one of my favorite Moulton stories.
Right.
But I won't get to that right now. But there's a bit that Carlin used to do when he talked about he and Pryor and having heart attacks. And he said, Richard had a heart attack, and then I had a heart attack. And then Richard blew himself up, and I said, F that, I'm going to have another heart attack.
Right.
And so I've thought about that with what I have to share. I'm going to be leaving the show for, a few weeks. Hopefully not that long, but we will see. Next Thursday will be my last show for a good bit. I am going to be heading to Moffitt Cancer Center to have treatment done. I was diagnosed, September with cancer. And through a series of tests and a lot of other things, I have to have a bone marrow transplant. That will be in early February. I'm incredibly confident that the people at Moffitt will take care of me and I'll get out of this just fine. But I'd been waiting to find out that we had the donor, that everything was moving forward, and then was going to share it with the audience. And I didn't know if I was going to, but basically my wife's taking some time off of work. Her boss needed to share it with their clients because she's going to be leaving there. And I thought I at least should be able to tell my audience before he tells her clients. So next Thursday will be my last show. I did laugh when I had another test last week and had a Zoom call with Moffitt, and it was a different doctor that I've been dealing with, and he asked what I did, and I told him, and he said, "Are you going to do it from the hospital?" And I said, "Well, I sure hope so. We will see if they let me." I will definitely check in periodically. Still plan on, helping David out every way that I can. I've made meetings with the people that help us with our commercial computer so that I can log on and do what I need to do, get the podcast up, etc. We've got a couple of people that are going to fill in and run the board. David is going to be left with the yeoman's job of handling the show solo for a while, but I will be in the Tampa area for at least 90 days. So once I get out of the hospital, I fully intend on coming back to the show if my body lets me. It's just a matter of how tired I am, what I'm able to do. But it's, I know people that have had this procedure. I'm fully confident I will beat it. There's not a doubt in my mind. As I've told everybody, if I was as confident about my golf game as I was about beating cancer, I would be a 2 handicap. So, I couldn't let David have one up on me. He had his kidney out a few years ago with cancer. So my turn to one up you, David. I'm going to have to miss the show for a little longer time than you.
And obviously this is the, broadcasting gods are having fun with this also, because of all the people between the two of us, for the one to have to go away from the show for a few weeks, it needed to be me. because I'm useless to this show except for speaking into the microphone. Mark's the one who gets it on the air, keeps it on the air, does the podcast and all that stuff. So let me tell you, this cancer thing, this is really, this is really hitting Miller and Moulton hard. They needed to do, because when you get talking to the cancer gods, you need to say, hey, you need to do this in reverse, okay? And Moulton, he doesn't contribute that much. I'm the glue to this show.
And I can tell you how it's affected me more than anything, because yesterday was MLK Day and my daughter didn't have school. And we had to run and mail a package. And then we both, my daughter has gotten into Orange Crush. So we had to revamp the soda for the garage fridge. So I picked up my soda. And fortunately, it was buy two, get two, David, at Publix. And I was very happy. And as I was going to the checkout, I kind of made a deke. Because then I went to the self-checkout. And when I made a deke, the manager didn't catch it, and he said, excuse me. And I said, hey, I deked you there. I didn't mean that. He goes, and I fell for it. And the manager very kindly walked up and said, hey, by the way, really love your show. Listen every day. And you guys do a great job. And I'm always really taken aback when that happens publicly. And I said, thank you very much, and shook his hand, and he left. And I sat there and I looked at my daughter and I went, man, did I just blow it? And she's looking at me. I said, I've never had the opportunity to look a Publix manager in the eye after he said those wonderful, kind things to me and follow up with, when the hell are you going to fix the 10 and under aisle? I was pissed. All the way to the car, I was kicking myself, because you can't go back and chase him down at that point and say,
I think you could, actually.
One shot. Now, hopefully he's listening now, and you can text me at 21,000 when you're going to fix the damn 10 and under aisle. I don't want anybody with 12 items in that damn aisle.
I actually think the effect you would have had if you had come back. He knows you left. If you had come back with your daughter and said, hey, I really appreciate what you said. Can I talk to you about something? And he'd be like, oh, yeah, sure. What? You would have had him. You would have had him. It wrapped the tension. You came back into the store from the parking lot. Okay. And then you would have said, are you going to fix the whole 10 items or less, Lane? Okay. What part of 10 do you guys have trouble understanding here?
I get that the customer's always right, but I will say, I waited tables many years ago, and I actually left college for a term to move to Marco Island in the winter. Pretty smart move looking back upon that. And my first shift at a restaurant that's now gone called O'Shea's, huge restaurant on Marco River. And I'm waiting tables with this guy. And you always see the trainee walking behind the waiter. And that was me the first time. And this is back when everybody smoked cigarettes too. And so we go to the table, we get the drink order, we come back, and he looks at me and he says, all right, he says, you can't smoke when you got a table on the floor, so let's go have a cigarette. And we're back there, and he's ripping his Marlboro 100, and he says to me, remember, the customer is always right to a point. So I had my chance with the Publix guy yesterday. Maybe I'll get another chance. Maybe I'll see him again. I'm there enough. But, yes. So, couple of poll questions today. National Cheese Day. Which cheese do you put on your sandwich? I'm very proud of this audience. Americans coming in last. It is the 4 most popular cheeses. So, for you snobs like me and our Twitch chat room that start saying, I liked Brie and I liked Pepper Jack. I get it. 4 choices. These are the 4 most popular ones.
Remember, the customer is always right to a point.
We will switch gears after that, thank God, and talk about the Bills. Did they fire the wrong guy?
It's a hell of a transition.
Well, where else are you going to go, David? I gave one good tease. That's all I got in me today.
Miller and Moulton, from bone marrow transplant to the Buffalo Bills.
And for Bills fans, they may want the transplant.
Hello.
We'll talk Bills in the 8 o'clock hour. We will talk Dolphins and revisit the Natty. Because in case you're just waking up from a 1.5-year nap, the Indiana Hoosiers are the undefeated national champions in football. Miller and Moulton. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thank you, everybody.
The only soda company still using.
By the way, I've had to quit drinking, which has really been a son of a bitch, especially after a double bogey. It's when it's really bothered me. And playing tournament golf this weekend without any drinks, I get nerves. I will fully admit that I get nerves when I play golf, particularly in a tournament. And it's like, I got nothing. I can't have a drink. But I've been drinking Diet Orange Crush, and I can't wait to try it with vodka.
Joe, Mark's finishing this week, and he's doing. You're doing 4 days next week.
I'm doing
right?
4 days. I've got to go up on the 29th. They put what they call a line in my chest so that they can pump me full of crap. And then I got some other tests early on the 30th, and then I'm admitted on the 1st, and my transplant's on the 6th. The week before is full of chemo. Yay. John is on. Thanks, everybody. Very nice of you. Yes, I do, Left Twix. I begin that, I believe, on the 1st, from what I understand.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Chris Perkins to talk the Dolphins' new head coach coming up at the top of the hour. Terry Bowden, as we look back at Indiana's remarkable season, their story, the most unlikely of national champions in college football, the Hoosiers capping off a 16-0 season. Terry Bowden, the longtime coach and broadcaster, to join us 1 hour from now. It's a pleasure to welcome back from Buffalo, Jon Scott. He's sports director of the NBC2 station, WGRZ. You can follow John on X at John with no H, Jon Scott TV, Jon Scott TV. John, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this, particularly at this hour. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to have to do another run of the snowblower like I did when I got home last night, because we've got about 1.5 feet of snow, 2 feet here in Buffalo, which means if Sean McDermott's looking to get out for any interviews quickly, it might be a little bit of a test as well.
John, how shocked were you, or were you shocked at what transpired yesterday about 22 hours ago?
Absolutely stunned. I know there was some discussions on a national level that if the Bills didn't advance past a certain point, his job could be on the line. And I somewhat dismissed them. I thought maybe a wild card round loss, if they didn't beat Jacksonville, it would not have been as surprising to me. But I thought, while it certainly was well short of this team's expectations at the beginning of the season, losing in the divisional round with the state of the roster and the injuries and the way they lost that game, where so much of the blame can be placed on their all-world quarterback, plus maybe some questionable calls from the officials at the end. I thought that an owner that took years and years to finally fire the general manager of his hockey team after the team, who hasn't made the playoffs in 14 years, has gotten worse under his watch, I found it even more stunning that just a month or so later, he would get rid of the best football coach this organization has had in 30 years.
You know, John, I'm glad you brought up the hockey, because we're both hockey guys, and it's always baffled me that one guy can own 2 teams. One looks like a model franchise, and one up until a month and a half ago had been a dumpster fire for over a decade. And you're right, McDermott's the one that gets fired. Did they fire the right guy? At the end of the day, you know, McDermott had a lot of say over personnel, but Bean not only keeps his job, but gets promoted. There are some that thought he should have been fired. In your opinion, did they fire the right guy?
This is the most fascinating aspect of this decision by the Bills. For years, ever since 13 seconds in 2021, there has been a very vocal crowd here in Western New York with their pitchforks out wanting Sean McDermott fired. And a lot of the similarities in their early playoff exits have had to do with the defense not being good enough, not getting the stop at the end of games, not performing, allowing over 30 points in these defeats. And while, yeah, Denver scored 33 points, and you could, if you wanted to spin it that way, say the defense failed again, this I actually think was one of Sean McDermott's best coaching seasons, considering the roster was wildly flawed. And it was beyond just the wide receiver position group that was so polarizing, largely by the doing of Brandon Beane himself. So I placed far more blame this season in particular on the general manager, Brandon Beane. And I did think if they were going to make a seismic move like this, it would be at the general manager position, as opposed to the head coach. But it is clear in the actions of Terry Pegula that not just by retaining Brandon Beane, but promoting him and giving him more power, that there was a power struggle between Beane and McDermott, and Brandon Beane won.
He's Jon Scott. He's the sports director of NBC2 in Buffalo, WGRZ. You can follow John on X at John without an H, John, Jon, Scott TV, Jon Scott TV. Well, Beane's got to have somebody in mind, right? I mean, is it Dable? I mean, what is it that they're looking for that Sean didn't give them?
Diana Rossini of The Athletic reported later yesterday or last night, they actually did not have names. Yesterday was the day where they gathered the core that is going to be leading this search, led by Brandon Beane, to discuss names. I find that fascinating. I don't think it was we have no clue who or what we want. I think for years, and it seems obvious, you have an all-world quarterback who's the reigning MVP. You probably want to pair him with an offensive mind and someone that can be attached to him for the rest of his career with the Buffalo Bills. Now, who exactly that is, I'm not completely sure. Clint Kubiak seems to be the most notable name of the coordinator core in this coaching circle. I know there have been people, especially here, and it's natural, that would throw out the name Brian Dable, even Joe Brady, who appears to be getting a second interview with the Ravens. So I think it's going to be an offensive mind. There aren't a lot of options out there, in my opinion, that really move the needle for me. There's no Ben Johnson. There's not someone out there that for years now has been wildly viewed as this next great mind and great coach, or Liam Cohen. I don't see a Liam Cohen or a Ben Johnson in this cycle, and maybe I'm wrong, but the Bills, I believe, will be going the offensive route and doing whatever they can, which is the right move of putting Josh Allen at the center of all decision making.
We know what this coach has to do. I mean, it's already been told to us. Basically, you've got to get to a Super Bowl or you failed. So how long? I mean, the mafia is not patient. And, the mafia is everywhere, as you well know. And I texted a lot of my Buffalo friends yesterday. I got a not surprised, about time, things like that. People seemed, I don't know about happy, but they were for it. They supported the move. How quickly does the next coach have to get to the Super Bowl, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, you have a head coach in Sean McDermott that came into the job with this organization in a 17-year playoff drought. He promptly ended that and then went to the playoffs 8 of 9 years and won 5 straight division titles, that streak ending this year. The reason Sean got fired was because making the playoffs is not good enough. And if you're going to move on from someone that steady of winning 11, 12, 13 games, the next person, if they're not winning 11, 12, 13 games, winning the AFC East again, on top of then pushing to the AFC Championship game and beyond, I don't think that leash is very long. And the curious thing is here is I would have thought, my opinion was, you give Sean and Brandon one more year to kind of figure this out. You usher some stability into this new stadium. Josh Allen's 30, you retool the roster, and then if you continue to fall short, that's where you make the move. Well, obviously, they did it a year earlier than I expected with Sean. Brandon's leash, I'm not sure how long that is because he just gained more power. This head coach is 2 years too short. I mean, then you're talking about Josh Allen, 32 years old, in his early 30s. This is where the timing gets really fascinating because, I mean, Allen is fantastic, but some of what makes him so great is not something that's sustainable as he gets older in age. So the window is small and shrinking, and I think that puts extra pressure on the head coach to forge ahead and get to that promised land within the next year or two.
Had Josh said anything off the record, on the record, out of the side of his mouth, passive-aggressive against Sean McDermott at any point in the last 18 months that the two of us missed? Or, because obviously he didn't say anything yesterday. I mean, I think we're all wondering what Josh thinks of this. There's no way they do this if he's not okay with it, right?
Right. Now, here's an interesting thing that actually works in our favor. Josh Allen usually speaks on locker cleanout, which was the day after the Broncos lost on Sunday. He did not do that this year. He is now set, at least as I've been told, to meet with the media at some point later this week. So we will get the thoughts of Josh Allen on the firing of Sean McDermott, where in normal years we would have to wait until workouts begin in April. But no, there was nothing from Allen. And Allen in general, he plays the middle as perfect as you can. He never says anything for any sort of a topic that will move the needle one way or the other. He is very well trained with the media and keeps it right down the middle, so you can't construe anything, any sort of a direction here. There are moments when it came to the promotion of Ken Dorsey or the promotion of Joe Brady, where when asked, he would go to bat and say, yeah, I think that they would be great offensive coordinators, but there was never anything negative or positive that he has really spoken, especially recently, about the Bills head coach. If you were looking to read between the lines and pluck anything from a press conference, it was McDermott's comments about Jacoby Myers, who the Bills did not acquire at the trade deadline while having a wide receiver group they need. It was his comments about the debacle that was the Darius Slay addition and losing a cornerback on the roster while not getting Darius Slay to report. It was veiled shots at Bean from McDermott in press conferences throughout the year. That was more of a sign of the state of things in that building rather than anything coming from the quarterback.
Who do you blame for the roster? Because all year long, David and I, we pay a lot of attention to the Bills down here, and it seemed that the defense was what it was. It was average at best. They've spent a lot of money on defensive guys that haven't done what the money says they should do. So when you look at the roster, one, do you see holes, and who do you place the blame on?
A colleague of mine I work up here with, Vic Carucci, he's a Hall of Fame voter, been doing this for 40, 50 years. He said on our air yesterday, he was told there was a meeting about 5 weeks ago between Terry Pagula, Brandon Beane, and Sean McDermott, where McDermott voiced his issues with the roster and pointed out pretty point blank the holes at which he felt they were that made it why this was not a Super Bowl caliber team. And that conversation and the things that McDermott said certainly did not sit well with Brandon Beane, who disagreed, and they did not sit well with Terry Pagula. And that may have been the jettison point here of where we are today. And I agree with Sean. If that's what happened, I think the roster was very flawed this year, and I put the blame on Brandon Beane. His absolute defiance, which was out of character for Brandon, to the whole wide receiver thing. I'm sure you guys heard it. You guys are, whatin' about wide receivers like it's 2018 again. And he held firm to that. He went on all sorts of radio shows across the country and podcasts, was asked about the viral clip about him popping off about wide receiver criticism, and he stood firm by it. And even in certain conversations I had well beyond that, he still was standing firm at the idea that they were in no need of some great wide receiver. Yet his actions at the trade deadline were counter to that when he's trying to make trades for someone like Jalen Waddle or Garrett Wilson and was unable to do so. The defensive line is the position group that he has been chasing the entirety of his tenure here, and it continues to be an issue. The pass rush is inconsistent. It was a big problem. Bo Nix had all the time in the day in Saturday's loss, and that has been a consistent issue in all of their early playoff exits here. He's made some questionable contract extensions, and his first-round picks, as great as some of the later rounds are, have never been nearly impactful enough, if even you could call them a hit whatsoever. So I put a lot of culpability on the current state of things on the general manager, and I think that all falls at the feet of Brandon being the ultimate decision maker.
How much cap flexibility are they going to have? I mean, do they rework Josh and somebody else's contract and have a lot of room, or are they going to be hard pressed?
They're currently over the cap, this is a regular thing for them. He'll do some restructures. There will be some cuts. They'll find their way to making money, but we will probably hear from Brandon, as we have for years now, that they don't have the money because of the quarterback contract to make some big splash signings in free agency. Where there's a will, there's a way. He always mentions, you don't want to mortgage the future, kick the can down the line. I agree, but I disagree here. I think he needs to be bold, and I think that's at the wide receiver position. I think that's at the pass rusher position. There is talent on this team. They have 2 offensive linemen that are free agents, and I think that's a big deal, especially when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen. We've seen what 4 offensive lines can do to amazing quarterbacks like a Joe Burrow. And so there's a lot on the plate for this roster that has holes before it, that now free agency is opening things up again. He has to find ways and get creative and be aggressive on multiple fronts here, because it is unacceptable to have a quarterback like Josh Allen throwing to such a pathetic cupboard of wide receivers that in his prime, it's unacceptable. He does not want a number 1 alpha. He does not believe in that philosophy. Josh Allen does not believe in that philosophy, but that does not mean the collective group of wide receivers cannot be greatly more talented.
Jon Scott, sports director, NBC2 in Buffalo, WGRZ. Follow him on X at John with no H, Jon Scott TV. Jon Scott TV. John, thanks for your time. Good luck dealing with winter in Buffalo. Miller and Moulton.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, A-Jaffe, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Morning, Chris.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I am good. I am good. You know what? It occurred to me this morning that between the plays that we saw this weekend, right? The Caleb Williams pass, the Booty catch, and the Mendoza run. Wow. I mean, what plays over the weekend? And
it's the best 14-yard pass we'll ever see.
That's right. Exactly.
Yep. Goes in the books as just a 4th and 4 conversion.
It's incredible, isn't it? Incredible. Man. I tell you, that Indiana team, they definitely deserved it. I mean,
no doubt.
You know, I saw the Penn State game early in the year, but they're good. They're legit good.
They're good, and they won every way they could. They blew out 8 teams, and yet they won close ones against Ohio State, at Iowa, at Oregon, basically at Miami, although
at
it was a 60-40 crowd, at Penn State. None of their big wins this year, Chris, were at home. They don't have a single big win at home. Oh, I guess Illinois in late September when Illinois was like ranked 12th.
Yeah.
That's it.
Incredible. One of the great runs in college sports history. I mean, wow.
Yes.
Indiana. Indy freaking Anna.
Thank you.
I mean,
we've been joking on this show now for a while, and we've both said it a couple times heading into breaks, in which we just want to reiterate that Indiana completed a perfect season to win the national championship in football.
Right, exactly. 100% correct. This is mind blowing. This is absolute, and it kind of shows you that college football could be okay if they don't screw it up through NIL and transfer portal. Curt Cignetti comes up and wins at Indiana. Incredible.
Oh, and
I said earlier, and because we're old enough to remember the Miracle on Ice vividly.
Yep.
And when they did that video about the hostages and they showed them all the things that they missed, that was the thing that, had them most excited, surprised, whatever. If someone missed the last 450 days of American society and you showed them this, I think it would be their same reaction.
It would. I mean, it's just knowing, our age and knowing what Indiana football is, and basketball, of course. Football? Are you kidding me? Yeah, incredible. What a great story.
We joked a couple of weeks ago. Could you imagine if Curt Cignetti and Bobby Knight were at Indiana at the same time? Could you imagine the barnstorming spring and summer through the state of Indiana that they would do?
Wouldn't that be great?
You'd have to broadcast them all live.
Right. Exactly.
It would have been amazing.
It would. Hey, might as well put Reggie Miller back on the Pacers, right? What? Yeah. Bobby Knight. Wow. Incredible.
I'm glad that Cignetti, too, by the end became a little more human.
Yes, me too.
I mean, he and even I was laughing because at the beginning of the game, I was telling my wife after Cignetti did his pregame, the on field, and he gives legit answers. You don't get that truth out of a lot of coaches. And Cristobal's he's been such a dud. I go, watch this guy now. But then Cristobal gave maybe his best answer of the playoffs because we got to be mean. And it's like, come on, dude, give me something.
Yeah. I like Cignetti's kind of throwback old school personality.
Yep.
I really do. Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. This is normally when we talk to Pat Kerwin. His schedule was such he had to join us yesterday. Normally, we talk to Chris Perkins tomorrow, but the Dolphins hired a head coach yesterday. So we said, Chris, he said, yeah, sure. Chris Perkins of the Sun Sentinel, sun-sentinel.com. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. So was it a surprise, or was this kind of the expected that the former Green Bay Packers executive would hire the former Green Bay Packers coach?
This was the expected. I think the only surprise was, why don't you wait and see what Sean McDermott has to say, see if he has interest. It was not expected that Buffalo was going to fire McDermott, but it was fairly expected that John Eric Sullivan, the Dolphins' new GM, was going to hire Jeff Hafley, who was the Packers' defensive coordinator. They worked together for 2 seasons in Green Bay. And what I like about the hire is that apparently Sullivan feels comfortable with it. And so that gives me confidence that this is a pairing of his choice, that these are 2 guys who would seemingly work well together, as opposed to, a coach already being in place and the GM being matched to him, or vice versa. It seems like they should be in sync here. So that's why I would give this a thumbs up.
All right, he's been a head coach before, albeit on Saturday, at a place that doesn't win. His last year there, he was 3-9, though. So I guess I can say this: coaching Boston College is kind of, in that conference right now, it's kind of like coaching the Dolphins in the AFC East. You've got to build this thing up. So what is it that makes you think, from being a D coordinator, and he was good, not great, but that has nothing to do with being a head coach, Chris? I think we both learned that with McDaniel. It's about being a leader of men. What have you heard about his ability to be a leader of men?
Not a whole lot, quite honestly, but I know that people like him. And when you look at what he's been able to do with that Green Bay defense, mind you, in a tough division, going up against some good players and some good quarterbacks, it's fairly impressive. I will say this, I don't think it's so much the who with this job as the what. And I wrote this today in the Sun Sentinel that the what is mentality and attitude and mindset. And look, we just saw this with Curt Cignetti with Indiana, right? You've got to be able to get a winning mindset. We just saw this with Mike Vrabel, right? We just saw this in New England. We just saw this with Ben Johnson in Chicago. It's really, the X's and O's are one thing, and your list of credentials and all that, but you've got to change mindsets, and you've got to get people to believe. And I've always thought that the Dolphins under Mike McDaniel, and I've told you guys this, they celebrated that 2023 season, and you were celebrating stats and social media popularity. You didn't win a playoff game. Refocus this organization. And so if Hafley can do that, and apparently John Eric Sullivan thinks that he can, then he's the right choice for this job. And to me, that's his number one task.
Do you think Hafley bluffed him? Because the word was that he was getting on a plane and he was going to Nashville last night, and he was going to interview last night and this morning with the Titans. And then once Hafley said yes to the Dolphins, then the Titans hired Saleh. So do you think that Hafley kind of bluffed the Dolphins? Because like you said, and I think a lot of Dolphin fans are wondering, hey, we couldn't take an extra 10 minutes to see who else was out there. Sean McDermott. I mean, we couldn't wait till today. But Hafley was getting on a plane at dinner time last night if they didn't offer him the job.
Yeah, you know what, David, it's an interesting kind of thing, because, look, you can look at it the other way and say they kind of brother-in-law this thing, right? When you look at Sullivan hiring his guy from Green Bay. By the way, the last time the Dolphins went to Green Bay for a head coach was Joe Philbin, so hopefully this works out better. But, you can say that this was kind of lined up because they had worked together. And then you could kind of say, well, look, when they invited Kelvin Shepard and Patrick Graham in, that satisfied the Rooney Rule, right? 2 minority candidates. That ended their first round of interviews, and Hafley was coming in for the second interview. So you could kind of say, yeah, that was the writing on the wall, that they had zeroed in on Hafley. And so they satisfied the Rooney Rule. So they were free to make a hire on Monday afternoon, which, it turned out that they did. So, and who knows if Sean McDermott had interest, in the Dolphins job. But I just think that this was what the Dolphins wanted to do, and the signs were kind of indicating that.
All right. You made the brother-in-law comment, let's work down the family tree because they need a quarterback. And the free agent quarterback that everybody's enamored with is the guy in Green Bay. Is this a sign of more signings from the Great North, if you know what I mean?
It could be, right? I mean, that would make sense because the Dolphins do need somebody to come down here and compete for this starting job. I think this will tell us a lot about what Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, thought about Malik Willis, the quarterback. He didn't work with him directly, but he probably, knows a whole lot about him from opposing him. So we'll see. We'll see it, but it would kind of align, wouldn't it? That's early you could kind of connect those dots and think that it all makes sense.
Chris Perkins, the Sun Sentinel, sun-sentinel.com. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. And I'm not being snarky here when I ask this. Can they afford Malik Willis? Because you got to think he's going to get 2 or 3 years on the market. He's going to get probably 2 for $40, might get a touch more than that. But in all seriousness, in the Dolphins cap situation, can they afford to add another $20 million onto the quarterback room when they're going to have 50-something from Tua? I mean, I'm wondering, or do they have to play Quinn Ewers because they don't have any money?
This is going to be one of the first major tests among many major tests for John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. Because, look, we have seen quick turnarounds in this league, right? 1 year and 2 year turnarounds. So I don't want to hear them say, well, we need to take a step back before we can take a step forward. No, you have a good amount of talent. Try to improve on the 7 wins from last year. So according to that idea, do you get your quarterback this year or are you patient and you get your quarterback next year? That's going to be the big test. What do they think of Malik Willis? How do they evaluate quarterbacks? How do they, evaluate the available quarterbacks in the draft? What is your strategy? What is your philosophy here? This is going to be one of the big tests. So again, we're going to see what they think of Malik Willis. Maybe you can get kind of a neighborly deal from Malik Willis, a team-friendly deal, but this is going to be one of the big tests, their approach at quarterback in year one.
Not just their approach at quarterback, but Chris, and we have plenty of time. Draft's not until April, but first rounder, second rounder, 3 third rounders. We know we've talked about it all year. There are a lot of needs on this team. They've got to have a pretty good batting average with those first 5 picks, don't they?
They do. They do. And look, again, we're going to talk about big decisions and how you want to build your franchise. Do you want to build from the trenches? Do you think you can find a quarterback, a starting caliber quarterback in the first 3 rounds? What are you thinking about your edge rushers? Are you going to count on Chop Robinson? Are you bringing Bradley Chubb back at his price? Do you need to get an edge rusher early? You need to get a cornerback early. What about building the trenches? Philosophy, strategy. Let's see what these guys think. What are they going to do in free agency? These are all questions that when you look at team building and strategy and philosophy for a first-time GM and a first-time head coach, this is all going to be very interesting and fascinating to me.
Are you surprised that Mike McDaniel is so well thought of in the job market right now? He's interviewed for 3 head coaching jobs. He apparently could pick the offensive coordinator job that he wants. And most people think, by the way, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's going with Saleh because they're tight. Are you surprised? I mean, Mike McDaniel is being spoken of glowingly around the country. And we all know in South Florida, they were trying to light him on fire.
Yeah. Mike has a great reputation. He's a media friendly coach. He's stylish. He's unique. He's funny. He's personable. But his offense doesn't work against good teams. And so I hope that, what my hope was that he was going to go to Detroit. And I might have told you guys this, and you get some toughness from Dan Campbell, and you work with Jared Goff and Gibbs and Montgomery and Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams and Penei Sewell, and you really learn what to do with an offense when you've got a lot of talent, and then you go become a head coach. I think that would have been ideal for him. Of course, Detroit now has an offensive coordinator. So we'll see. I hope that McDaniel gets better in his next job, because I think he's a good guy. I think he's bright, but I think he's got a one-track offense, and it's that deep pass. Surprisingly, we did see him open it up late in 2024 with the dink and dunk, and late this year with the running game. I just want to see Mike get into his bag a little bit more and not be so sidetracked by the Tua to Tyreek phenomenon.
Just curious, we've got 4 teams left. Who's hoisting the Lombardi Trophy in your opinion?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. I'm gonna look at New England, man. I mean, I think defense is gonna be the story here. I know that we always like to think quarterback, and I've got a lot of respect for Matt Stafford, but I'm thinking defense is gonna win the title this year.
He's Chris Perkins. He covers the Dolphins for the Sun Sentinel. Sun-Sentinel.com. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Hey, thanks for moving it up a day. We really appreciate it. Probably aren't going to talk for a little while. Hopefully you can get some time to yourself, and we'll talk down the road.
Okay, I'll be around. I think the Dolphins are going to have the introductory press conference on Thursday for the head coach and GM together. So a heads up on that.
Bring a cheesehead. I'm sure that'll go over well. Chris Perkins, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
We put a poll question up about your level of excitement for the Dolphins' new head coach. Who the hell is he's getting 81% of the vote? I'm wondering, after the way Chris talked about him, how many people were changing their mind, because he seemed pretty confident in the direction that the Dolphins are going, and Chris wasn't confident much this year.
I will say, in 2024, Hafley did an incredible job with the Packers defense. They were in the top 6 in every major category. And remember, they were 9-3-1 this year when Micah was healthy. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's funny, Robes. What I'm trying to figure out now, because I'm obviously going to be there for the Super Bowl, I bought a new computer. I've got to take one of my monitors from my normal workstation and make sure I can have two monitors so I can simultaneously watch things on YouTube TV. Thanks, EB. Like I said, I'm very confident in what lies ahead. I'm aware it's not going to be easy. Ironically, my ex-wife had the same procedure done 5 years ago. The guy that I played high school hockey with, and he was my D partner in high school hockey, had it done 12 or 13 years ago. So I've been able to talk to him a lot about what to expect. So, it's a speed bump. So the way I look at it, it's an effing speed bump. My blood type will change. Here's an interesting story that my buddy told me who had this done. He at the time lived in Michigan. He had a friend who worked for either the state police or the FBI or some high-level police officer. Took a hair from a hat of his that was pre-treatment and then did either a swab or a blood test post-treatment and told him that without the hair, if he would have committed a murder before, they wouldn't have been able to prove it. So as I told everybody, you're running out of time, but if you want me to, whack someone, you got about 8 days. And Left Twix, you asked, when did we? Basically, when I was having my back issues, that's about when I found out. That's when it all started. That was in May that I hurt my back. When I got back from vacation in July, I had the MRI. And by August, we were sure I had something. We weren't sure what.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Terry Bowden will join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time here on Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark with a major announcement an hour ago that he's got a health crisis that he has to go attend to by the end of this month. And he's headed to Moffitt, and he's going to be there a while. And how long he's off the show, TBD.
Robes in the chat room said, did I let Moffitt know I required 3 televisions in my room? It's a dadgum good point.
And for what you're paying. Okay. Might as well.
Safe to say we've hit the deductible, David.
And it doesn't matter, by the way, when it starts. You hit it pretty quickly. In fact, sometimes you hit it by the afternoon.
Great text we got here, David. I'm really excited about the new coach of the Miami Dolphins, whose name I don't know, and I've never heard of him before. Really excited that instead of going with an actual head coach, we want to go with the defensive coordinator that was once the head coach of Boston College. I hate being a Phins fan. One day, I hope we create a time machine for the sole purpose so I can go back in time and stop my 6-year-old self from becoming a Dolphins fan.
Reminded me of that Jets fan leaving the stadium earlier this year who was like 9. And he said, listen, I'm born into this, but this team sucks and I don't have to like it. I'm not going to quit on them, but this really sucks.
I'm trying to figure out, because I had seen the TikTok of the Bears fan that they've now put into a commercial with the baby and the automatic rocker, if you will, and dad's watching the baby as the Bears win the game against the Packers. And he is going through this whole fist-pumping celebratory act for a good 10 seconds without saying anything. He's doing it in silence so the baby can sleep. I just want to know what the NFL paid him to, if they have to pay him to use that ad, because it's fabulous. I mean, that's a fan.
Listen, I don't know these guys from Adam, but if you were the Dolphins and you were looking to go outside the organization, Mark, it's just blanket, what organizations would you maybe target?
Ravens. That would be my first.
Eagles. Okay. Anybody else?
Those would be my first two. I mean, off the top of my head, I think, and I don't, the Rams have done it so differently. They've had great success under McVay, but they've gone free agency. They've done it a style that I don't think the Dolphins can do right now because of their cap limitations. Seattle, maybe, believe it or not. I mean, we don't think about and talk about them very much, but they've done a pretty damn good job. But I'm not opposed to going to the Packers, David.
I was going to say, it's a pretty good 35-year run. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, with all the winning that they've done, they probably should have won a few more Super Bowls. I think the Packers fan is disappointed that 35 years later, wow, we got a lot of fun football, a lot of great football, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, memories beyond belief. They only went to the big game 3 times in the last 35 years. Now, I say that, and the Dolphins haven't been to the big game in 40. But I'm just trying to make the point. I would think the Packers would make most Dolphins' top 5 list of organizations if we're going to hire a GM and a coach from. Don't you think Green Bay would be on a lot of your index cards?
Yeah, I don't know how it couldn't be. I really don't. It's a well-run organization. You may not like a decision here or a decision there, but when you take the 30,000-foot view, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. So
I mean, the Niners would be another one that we probably did that we didn't say. I mean, but in the NFC, and I just kind of did that because quickly I thought NFC in my head. Well, in the NFC East, the Eagles, nobody else. And the NFC South, there's not an organization you'd point to. There isn't.
No, not at all.
In the West, Seattle recently, and maybe the last decade or so, I mean, they've done well.
Right.
And the Niners for sure. The Rams, but like I said, they have done it very differently. I will say if it was someone from the Rams, how McVay and their staff always have that Malibu beach house for the draft. I'd like to see the Dolphins adopt that just because it would look cool. I mean, get one of those rich houses on Fisher Island or something like that. I mean, I think you could do something nice. Go up to Palm Beach, maybe a place or two there. But when you look at the NFC in the North, the Packers is the only team I would take. I wouldn't take the Bears. The Lions have done well for a couple of years, but obviously not them. And the Vikings have been a good franchise. But I mean, when you look at NFC franchises, Eagles, Niners, Packers, and maybe Seattle. AFC, you certainly can't deny that Pittsburgh's had success, but I'd go Ravens first every time.
So in that sense, am I giving them the benefit of the doubt? I don't know if I'm doing that, but I'm at least willing to sit back and go, listen, I'm glad they went outside the organization. And of all the organizations to raid, okay. That's a top 25% of the league organization. Might even be a top 15% of the league organization. So, yeah, okay. All
And
right.
while I thought that text from the gentleman who wants the time machine's hysterical, that's good stuff. That's quality material. But I will ask you and all Dolphin fans who have texted the show that have been upset, and all of you that have responded to the "who the hell is he" response as the new head coach. You wanted to go outside of the organization, right? And I understand that McDermott is now there. You weren't getting Harbaugh. So who is it exactly you wanted? Before we hate the decision, sit back and think about what they've done and tell me where you would have gone to hire your GM coach, if you will.
Now, I was on record as saying I wanted Chris Shula, and I wanted him for two reasons. First off, he's from the Sean McVay tree, but in this case, he's been with McVay the whole time. McVay has put his arm around Chris Shula, has shown him the whole organization. Did you listen to Liam Cohen talk about what he learned working for Sean McVay? And Cohen was there a handful of years. Shula's been there damn near the whole time. Okay? So, yeah, that's who I wanted. And the fact his last name was Shula, to me, that was not a burden. That was hot damn. You're Don Shula's grandson, too? Damn.
Well, particularly for an organization that's going to need to sell some season tickets and give a fan base hope. By the way, I've heard his name connected to Pittsburgh a couple of times from different things. So,
okay.
That would not come. If you look at who Pittsburgh's hired, young defensive guys, that makes a lot of sense for that organization.
Yeah. That's true. And Cowher, how old he was when they hired him. Tomlin, how old he was when they hired him. Chris Shula absolutely fits that same mold.
By the way, as a texter put in Stefanski, I don't think you were getting him either.
No, it was Giants or Falcons for Stefanski. He was the backup to Harbaugh with the Giants, and then he wanted Atlanta.
You got to sometimes remember who you are before you know what you can get that's out there. We'll look back at the national championship. Terry Bowden will join us next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Do you want to do video with Terry Bowden?
If he will. Shoot me the email. I'll send it to him right now.
Yeah, he's going to. He just said, what would y'all prefer? Y'all. I haven't gotten a y'all in a while.
I like a good y'all, David.
I do too. All right, here he comes. I think he's sending me the link. Okay.
Copy and paste it to me.
I'm doing that. Just send it to you.
Yep. Very nice, Javier. Thank you. And when I get back, I will take you up on that, my friend. But for now, we're going to be in the Tampa area. I will say all the weight that I lost, I actually gained back on purpose. They told me to. And since they made me quit drinking, I've had a very special relationship with Ben and Jerry.
There you go. Which, by the way, is better than a special relationship with William and Mary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally, I've got a weird thing with my heart. So I had to have a cardiac MRI last week. And the cardiologist, when I talked to him, asked what I did. And he's like, you going to do the show from the hospital? I'm like, if I can. He goes, that'd be great. I literally said it out loud. I laughed my tail off. You don't think I'm making a Super Bowl prediction. You're all nuts.
Well, at least you'll know who's in the game. He didn't get the link.
He should have. Send it to the Gmail account. I'll send it again. Yeah, I did it right.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's just getting it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. If you missed Jon Scott an hour ago, all right. By the way, Mark, we might as well call Terry. Okay, his video links aren't working, apparently. Terry Bowden will join us here momentarily, but Jon Scott joined us an hour ago, and he said he was shocked that the Bills moved on from Sean McDermott, and he covers the Bills for a living at NBC2 in Buffalo. Chris Perkins on at the beginning of this hour. Dolphins going the Green Bay route. for a new GM and a new coach. We'll see if it works. By the way, the GM and coach will address the media for the first time on Thursday. We'll address the media on Thursday. So there. Terry Bowden to join us to talk about, is this the greatest sports story that we've seen this century in America? Indiana not just winning the college football national championship, but doing it with a 16-0 season with the 12-team playoff. No Division 1A champion has ever had to play so many games. Remarkable. We'll get Terry Bowden's thoughts, the longtime college football coach and current college football analyst on not just the Sports Grid Network, but he also hosts the Terry Bowden Show on 24/7 Sports Network. Terry, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Thanks, fellas. Well, I got a little late today. I haven't watched that game, but thank goodness it was a great football game. Probably ended like most people predicted, but could have gone the other way.
Boy, it certainly could have. When there were a couple of moments to me, but obviously, Indiana's so good at all elements of the game, Coach. And special teams, the difference. Miami doinks a field goal, the block punt, those 10 points at the end of the day, that's probably the difference.
Well, it really is, and that was what we thought before the game. Indiana had the better overall team. They had the better overall quarterback. They probably had the better overall coaching just from what they have done to be fundamentally sound in every area. And that was the difference in the football team. And one of those things was going to decide the game. Ultimately, it ended up being special teams. The block punt for a touchdown was a difference in the football game. And like I said on my show, 2.5, 3.5 points to me is a toss-up. 8.5 is an upset. You got to do things. You got to win the turnover margin. Indiana won that, and a block punt. You got to win penalties. Indiana won that. You got to win third downs. Indiana won that. Time of possession. Indiana won that big. Even rushing. Close, but Indiana just checked every box, did everything a little bit better. And I guess in today's game, I'm learning myself, if you pick Miami, you still won because they only lost by 6 and not 8.5.
Terry Bowden with the Sports Grid Network and also his own show, the Terry Bowden Show on the 24/7 Sports Network. Come on now, you've been involved in this sport your whole life. You grew up around it before then.
Right.
It's one thing for two yahoos that you're talking to talk about how great a story this is. Can you believe that Indiana just pulled this off?
It's an incredible story. It really is. Now, Kurt Cignetti, you understand, his father was Frank Cignetti, who was my dad's offensive coordinator at West Virginia for 6 years. I grew up with Kurt in Morgantown. Then his father was Tommy and my brother Tommy, who was the head coach of Clemson in Tulane. We played for him and GA'd for him. Nick Saban was a defensive back on that staff. So Kurt comes from good stock. He knew how to coach. He's the product of a football coach, a Hall of Fame football coach, just like I am. And he came to Indiana with years of head coaching experience and sitting around the table with someone who knew how to coach. Now, let me say this. Do I know what it's like? Few people will probably remember or even know that when I first went to Auburn, they had 2 losing seasons and 3 straight losses to Alabama, and we're on probation. And we got penalized for probation, could not have any postseason, and could not be on TV for 2 years. And we went out and won every single game the first year, the only undefeated team in the country, and then won 9 straight the next year. And it had never been done before. But nobody saw it because it wasn't on television.
Right.
But what Kurt's done, but Auburn had some success in prior years. Indiana has never had that. So to me, it's a credit to what Kurt Cignetti has done in his life. He's been fighting his way up the ladder for a long time. He is very knowledgeable. He's done a great job in evaluating talent and evaluating coaches. And so, I think he has put he has put everybody on notice in the coaching profession that you don't just, it used to be, is it Jimmy's and Joe's or X's and O's? Well, he's proven it's X's and O's too, because he doesn't have all the 5 stars and 4 stars. He won't have those people in the NFL draft. but he's the only team in America that ran the table. And he's now got him a quarterback in the internet in the portal for next year. And so it'll be interesting because he has really done a great job.
Well, there's no doubt. I've said for a while, it's the best hire this century. To do what he has pulled off, you can't take it lightly. I mean, this, and I think, Coach, tell us how, not a problem, but now all the other ADs, all the other presidents that are going to try to find lightning in a bottle and get this coach, this doesn't happen everywhere. So if you were given advice to all of these jobs that have been open and all of the jobs that have been open next year, when they try to hire their Curt Cignetti, what advice would that be?
Don't get in the habit of trying to compete with other people. And let's just use Indiana's recruiting style. You don't go out and sign a guy because everybody else wants that guy and you want to beat them for the top 5-star. Because all you're going to do is get in the bidding war, and that guy may not fit your need. He may not fit who you are. You go out there and research it, study it, and make sure you know what you're looking for, because it might be at 1AA. I came out of 1AA and went to Auburn. It might be in Division Group of 5. But if you get into a bidding war, it'll look like you did something great, just like when you sign a top 5-star and he turns out to be just another 5-star. So I really think the indication was here. Do your homework. Look for somebody who has a body of work that suggests he's going to be successful. Curt left Alabama as wide receiver recruiting coordinator, went to IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, won the conference. Went to Elon, won the conference. Went to James Madison. I coached against him in the Sun Belt. Won the conference. Everywhere he's won, he's been successful. And there was a great feeling by the AD who hired him that he can do that again. And then if you've seen anything about him, he is so confident. Some people would say cocky or arrogant. No, I just think it's a confidence in knowing that you know what you're doing. Like he said, just Google me. I know how to win. And he does. And I always thought, and my dad thought, his father was one of the brightest offensive coaches he'd ever known. And Curt has learned from that and is a bright coach too. So the biggest thing is don't go following everybody else and just go after the highest bid. All you're going to do is pay a lot of money, and the guy may not be the guy. Go find you somebody that's got a history of being successful at whatever level.
Terry Bowden, Sports Grid Network, the Terry Bowden Show on the 24/7 network. Kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Do you think this is really good for college football going forward? This, I don't know if they qualify as a Cinderella, but with their history, never mind the fact that now, after the SEC's historic run, you've got 3 in a row with 3 different Big Ten schools. Just your thoughts on what the last few years may mean going forward.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a feather in the cap of all Big Ten followers because 3 straight national championships out of the Big Ten. Miami has done something for a bolster to the ACC that fell flat on their face. And, it's been the last 15 years. It's been Clemson for a while, Florida State for a couple of years. Miami has been down. Florida State's been down. Now Clemson's down. The Miami being very, very good is good for college football. You either love to love Miami or you love to hate them. And that's good. It's like Notre Dame or it's like Oklahoma Southern Cal. So I think it's great that they are back in the hunt for championships, depending on who they got, the quarterback this year. So, but I think having new blood there and not having the same team over and over again in the hunt, And then the challenge to Curt Cignetti is, can I continue this? I mean, a lot of guys have won big for a couple of years. Now, what's happened 10 years from now? 15? Can you sustain that without imploding from within? Loss of coordinators, loss of the chemistry, loss of the whole energy that you have from building. But anyway, I think it is good for football. It's good that Ole Miss could do what they did, that Miami could win like they did, barely making the top 12. Then Indiana, for the first time this year, take the losingest program, and their fans now, which is the largest fan base, alumni fan base in America, is Indiana because of the enrollment there at all their campuses. It's the largest enrollment in the country. And what football and having a chance to win through portal, through transfer, through NIL, what that can do to make a Texas Tech or an Indiana or an Ole Miss, all of a sudden they're the top 5 or 10 as opposed to the the likely suspects.
You know, the SEC had a rough go at it, not just in the playoff, but in the bowls. Is this a blip? Is this a sign of things to come because of what you just mentioned, the money and the NIL and where it's coming from? When you look forward, do you see the SEC still being the dominant conference?
I think it's going to be a great challenge to the SEC, but make no doubt about it, in the deep South, the old South, and back 50 years ago, Florida wasn't included. That was not considered part of that Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, old South college football. No question that the stadium size, fan passion, history is strong in the Southeast. That's always been what attracted everybody, where it's the biggest honor in coaching is to coach on Saturdays, not Sundays. If you know what I mean, with the Bear Bryants and the Bobby Bowdens and people like that. But now it's controlled by who has the most money for NIL. One Mark Cuban could put Indiana on the map. One oil tycoon in Texas, in West Texas, can put Texas Tech on the map. Now it's not about all the stadium size and how much you've won in the past or how many championships. Kids are they're going to jump in the portal, or they won't know what they're worth. That's the only way they're being told by their agents, and it's true, that they're going to find out how much money they can make unless they make themselves available. And so when they do that, now the critical thing is, can you get you the quarterback? You know, Indiana's already locked in Josh Hoover, the quarterback from CCU. I think it's Josh. And I think he's one of the best in the country. They've already locked in another one of those great quarterbacks. And in Miami, I guarantee you, they've hit a home run twice in a row with quarterbacks. They've got to do it again if they haven't already. I didn't check the portal today.
It is. It's amazing what Signetti's
quarterback. I guess that everybody got to say, you better have the best quarterback if you want to go any further.
Signetti 4 years in a row, great success with 4 different quarterbacks, and they'll have to do it again next year with a 5th. Terry, last one for me. So the SEC and the Big Ten have until Friday to come up with a new format, or else we're going to have this format next year. Are you okay with the current format if we've got to keep doing this one for the next few years, or do you think it needs to be changed?
You know, I was a head coach 30 years, and I've been Division II, Division III, Division I AA, Group of 5, and Power 5. And everywhere we had playoffs, which was every level but the top level, Division I, it was a 16-team playoff. So I'm very comfortable with 16 teams. But when you've got conference championships that are so important to these conferences, that throws a wrinkle in. And when you got this conference size getting so big, and conferences that have power wanting to guarantee a certain number of teams in, then there's a reason to go up. But right now they can't agree on a whole lot. I wouldn't be shocked if we stayed 12 another year. You know what? 12 is better than what we had. Yeah, I mean, 4 wasn't as good as 12. 8's not as good as 12. I think they've got to make sure they look at all the little difficulties. I don't think people want 2 group of 6 teams in. No one could imagine that happening, but I'm not sure that's how you do it. I think you always want to have a chance for one of the group of 6 or group of 5 teams to get in. But my thoughts is down the road they can go to 16, and that would be it. But the Big Ten and SEC don't agree right now. Until they agree on something, nobody else really matters.
He's Terry Bowden, longtime college football coach, longtime college football broadcaster. And these days he's doing it with the Sports Grid Network and on the Terry Bowden Show on the 24/7 Sports Network. Terry, thanks for the time. We really appreciate it. All the best to your family, and hopefully we can talk down the road.
Thank you, man. Take care now.
Terry Bowden, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Quick Terry Bowden story. Our longtime producer, John Cassio, produced the Terry Bowden Show in Orlando at the turn of the century. And John used to go and get him iced tea, before the show and what have you, while producing it. And I guess John took something from him. And when we were at the Super Bowl in Jacksonville 21 years ago, Terry was there broadcasting, and we walked up to Terry, and I go to introduce myself, and he turns and he sees John first, and he says, "You owe me an iced tea, and where are my keys?" They hadn't seen each other in years. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Bobby used to be a regular guest on the show.
It was remarkable.
Regular guest. My guys in Fort Myers?
Yeah, and he always emphasized the Myers part too. My guys in Fort Myers? Okay. Dion? That's all it was. Fort Myers equaled Dion.
We had his phone number to his office. And John Cassio, who he mentioned, would call, and his secretary, and I don't remember her name, John would answer the phone, and she would never put John on hold. She would just cover the mouthpiece. Coach, you got time for the guys in Fort Myers? Sure, put them through. That's how we got Bobby. She would call him he would call her during the day, and she'd say he's free at X time, whenever it was, after 4:30, different to whatever it was. Call back around 4:30. And we'd call back, and damned if Bobby didn't talk to us damn near every time.
And John would always be laughing. He said, I can hear her yelling back, you got time for your guys in Fort Myers? And he would go, Fort Myers, Dion? Yeah, sure, put him on. Meanwhile, Dion hadn't played for him for like 15 plus years. But golly.
But that was the charm of Bobby. Bobby remembered where guys were from. Bobby remembered guys' parents. And when he would talk to us, he would bring up, I got so-and-so went to this high school, his mom, and he'd mention him by name.
Okay, so it's 99. I've been in Florida 3 weeks. It's Jay Severson from NBC2, and I'm with ABC7, and we go to the Swamp. It's number 1 Florida State against number 3 Florida. Florida State wins, obviously, because they were undefeated that year. We went to get stuff from Spurrier and the Gators, and then we race over to the Knowles locker room, and they're getting out of there. Okay, they're like on the bus. And so I've got the camera, and Jay runs out, and I'm following him. And Florida State team buses are pulling out. They're ready to go. And Jay runs in front of the Florida State bus like the person at Tiananmen Square. Okay, and he runs in front of the bus, and he stops.
And if you don't know, Jay's shorter than me. Jay's 5'7".
And Jay's not moving. And then I show up, and I got the camera, and the bus driver's screaming and yelling. But to yell at us, he had to open the doors. And Severson says, okay, tell Coach we're from Fort Myers. And you can hear Bobby. First off, we can see him and Ann sitting in the front two seats. And Bobby goes, Fort Myers? Dion? Hold on 1 second. And the bus driver just looks at him. Bobby goes, don't worry, just a few minutes. Walks down the steps. We do an interview in front of the buses. They're all lined up to leave. But they can't leave till Bobby does a one-on-one with ABC, NBC, in Fort Myers. Gets back on the bus. I would have taken a bullet for the man right then and there. He was the best.
The best.
The best.
And we've been pretty fortunate. We've had a lot of big-time people on this show over the years. There's only one Bobby Bowden.
I was sitting in the Florida State dressing room. They had just lost wide right 3 in 2000. He pulled up a chair and sat next to me and said, boy, you okay? You don't look so good. Meanwhile, he just lost. Okay. And I go, yeah, it was really hot out there. Yes, it was, son. Yes, it was. He gave me a Coke. We sat there, drank a Coke together, talked. He said, by the way, do you want to do an interview? Because I had the equipment on the ground. I said, well, obviously, I'd love to do an interview. He goes, do you mind if I just sit? I go, well, I ain't getting up. And I took the camera, turned it on, talked to him. He was sitting there holding the microphone, had a Coke in his hand.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the fourth and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Had a good show. Jon Scott, Chris Perkins, Terry Bowden. You miss any part of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you missed. Mark did have a major announcement on the show today, and it was not our poll questions, which aren't bad, by the way. They're not bad today.
No, the poll questions are all right. I mean, especially for you. I mean, this is David branching out food-wise. I mean, this is really going out there. It's National Cheese Day. We took the 4 most popular cheeses on sandwiches, cheddar, Swiss, provolone, and plastic, American, and put them up there. Provolone winning, by the way, David. Provolone winning, cheddar in second, American in last. And then your level of excitement of the Dolphins hire. Great hire, good hire, who the hell is he? So far, no one has said great hire. Not one person. And I'm not shocked by that.
Even though he did a really good job as defensive coordinator at Green Bay, but they're just like, who the hell is Jeff Hafley? Doesn't he sound like he'd be an opening act? Either musician or comedian that, you're going to see the headliner and there's 1 or 2 opening acts, and Jeff Hafley sounds like an opening act, does he?
I like that. Maybe supporting actor or guy fighting for his card on the PGA Tour.
There you go. There you go. Hey, did you see that Jeff Hafley? Yeah, I earned his card off the Corn Ferry. Yeah, that Jeff Hafley, good-looking young player. Yeah.
Won that tournament on the Corn Ferry in Greenville.
Right. Earned like $50,000. He was so excited. Yep. By the way, speaking of that, Chris Gotterup, who won the Sony Open, did you see in this post-game interview, post-match, whatever, that he's already talking about retiring? He had already figured out if he ever won, like what it would mean and how many years he'd have on tour. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And he mentioned retiring.
Good for him. Do you blame him?
Wow. Not after you just won.
Yeah, but that's 2 years of basically making sure you're in all the signature events for a couple of years now.
Well, and it's great because you got all this year now that you're in everything because you won, and then that's 2 years. That's the next 2 years. I mean, he got 3 years out of this sucker. That's the tournament to win, by the way. Win the first tournament of the year, okay? Because all the perks don't really kick in till next year.
So, well done. And we've been talking, obviously, a lot of Indiana. What a remarkable story. What a remarkable job. What a team. And they proved it last night. You know, there was a few things that stood out to me. And you could nitpick about what you want. Obviously, the special teams play that they made and the missed field goal for the Canes loomed large because losing by 6, the field goal goes in, you're down 3. You can kick a field goal there and send the game to overtime. For the record, for whatever reason, I never made a prediction on air. I did it immediately when we were done. I said 24-17. I think you said 24-21, something like that.
24-20, yeah.
Yeah, so we both liked Miami and the points. We do count that because there are only a handful of games left. We've got 3 games left, David. I am right at 500. Right at 500.
And head-to-head, I'm still one up on you because we went 3-1. We both did in the NFL playoffs, and we both picked Indiana to win, but Miami to cover. So we've got 3 games left, and I'm one up on you on the year.
And I will be making my Super Bowl pick from a hospital bed. That's basically the news. I'm going to be at Moffitt for 25 days or so in February, and then I'll be up in Tampa for a couple of months following that for a procedure that I have to have done, to live. And we'll
no
go
big deal
there.
or anything.
Right.
No big deal. Okay. This isn't a nip or a tuck here.
No, but I may ask for one while I'm there.
I don't think they handle that sort of thing, do they?
No, they don't, but you always can ask.
Is there somebody down at the end of the hall that is kind of like, well, while we got you, okay, and since the insurance seems to be paying for everything these days, how about if we just send you over to Tommy down there?
I will say the best comment so far, and I appreciate all the wonderful things that have been texted and said in the chat room, but the most important was from Robes, who said, does Moffitt know they have to get 3 TVs in your room? And they don't, but I think I'll let them know during a virtual appointment tomorrow after the show.
Well, since apparently Moffitt really wants you doing the show from there.
Well, only one doctor. I will say the transplant team is not aware that I might try to do the show. We'll see. You maybe some great guest. Who knows going to be down the hall? You never know.
Whoa, that's a hell of a way to get them, though. It's a hell of a way to get them. Okay. Hey, welcome to Miller and Moulton. Now that you've stared death in the face, let's talk some ball. I mean, I don't know. It seems awkward to me.
Part of our charm, David. Part of our charm.
It's certainly, ladies and gentlemen, if the jokes that have been going back and forth between the two of us over the last 4 months, if our wives got a whiff of any of our jokes, I swear they'd walk out on us.
And I will say, because, David's battled cancer, I'm now battling cancer. When I told our former producer, and the 3 of us have been on a text chain, for years, about sports, about anything. And when I called him to tell him, and my first words to him were, well, you're next.
Right. That's what we told him. Yep.
That's the sense of humor that we have. It just is. If you're around us, deal with it. That's the way things go.
So that was Mark's big announcement earlier this morning. He'll finish the week and he'll do 4 days next week. And then, he returns when he returns, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later. But he will be returning.
There is no doubt there. I will be making my Super Bowl prediction from a hospital bed. That may determine whether or not I go over 500 for the season, and head-to-head whether or not I beat you in our straight-up picks. It's important, damn it. It's important.
I love the fact that you won't do it while you're still sitting in the studio. You're going to wait. Okay. You do know nothing is happening during that week. There are lots happening for you. Nothing is happening in the NFL. We'll know who the 2 teams are. unless Sam Darnold wants to, tweak an oblique again during practice. But there's likely nothing that is going to be happening during that week. But you're going to
Yeah.
do something. You know what? We've done – we interviewed Jim Brown on a golf course at Riviera, I believe it was, in Los Angeles. We've got people and caught them in numerous airports around the country. I mean, we've done interviews with folks in some crazy places. We've never done an interview live from Moffitt. I will grant you that.
And anybody who's listened to this show for any length of time, when I've asked about getting sponsors, which we still need, if there's anybody out there that doesn't think I'm going to be hitting Moffitt up for a sponsorship, you are absolutely crazy, because it's happening.
And by the way, we're both a little annoyed, since we both have been patients with Florida cancer specialists, that they haven't opened up their wallets either.
Nope.
Come on, guys.
No
Come on,
blame.
guys.
But exactly. Have a heart, huh?
Right.
At the end of the day, there were little things about Indiana last night that you saw Indiana live a couple times this year.
Yeah, 3, I think.
So to me, and I'd been talking about it leading up to the game, no one to me gave their receivers the credit that I thought they deserved. It was all Mendoza, and he deserves all the credit in the world. The kid's a competitor. That run was fantastic, but these guys catch every damn ball he throws, and they're not always great balls. I mean, I still got that, and the fact that I don't know if they missed a tackle last night. That team tackled, David. Like Miami early missed some tackles that allowed Indiana to get some first downs and get on the board early. Indiana didn't miss tackles.
No. They're, I think, a very good team that plays great. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I think they have very good talent. They may have a handful, literally a handful of players in which you go, oh, no, they're going to play on Sundays and make an impact. Oh, okay. But they're a very good team that plays great. Hey, man, Miami showed up last night and said, this is the fight that we want to have.
And boy, did they fight.
And
their
Indiana
defense got better as the game went on.
Yes, it did. And Indiana said, okay, we can do that fight. And that was a game in the trenches, man. Both teams barely got the 300 yards of offense, for goodness sakes. I think Miami was like 350 and Indiana was 330. Okay. And Indiana, by the way, ran 72 plays. I mean, they averaged like 4.5 yards a play. They ran the ball. This is the thing. Once again, we did try to tell you this. They ran the ball, I believe, 45 times. And I think Mendoza had 27 pass attempts. Now, he was sacked 3 times. But, we tried to tell you that. They run the ball. They run the ball well over 60% of the time, if not 65% of the time. We said, go look at the Alabama box score. They ran the ball 52 times. He threw it 16. And they blew him out.
And the other thing, defense, and look at Indiana's defense was incredible. But did you think you'd see a game where the corners for the Indiana team were better than the corners for the Miami team? Because I don't think Beck was great last night. He was good. But who was he throwing to? Those guys were covered all night. Their corners outplayed Miami's corners the entire game, right to the bitter end.
I love the game. I like the style of it. I like that seemingly every possession felt important. A first down was significant. The one missed assignment in punt protection cost 7 points. The missed field goal at the end of the half. It was big because, remember, Miami got to within 10-7. They got to within 17-14. All right? They got to within 24-21. That 3 points is looming. Never mind the 7 from the block punt. But, that field goal seemingly loomed for most of the game. Certainly the whole second half.
And, Indiana deserves all the credit. But, Miami made the big plays in the second half. And Indiana answered.
Yeah. Miami had 3 straight scores. And Indiana responded all 3 times.
Terrific game. Miami comes up short. Indiana, the national champion. David, we've been doing this damn near 20 years. If you'd have told me one day I was going to say Indiana was the national champion in football, I would have never believed you. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, Jon, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I didn't like when they passed in the first down, Adam. I mean, after, we said it, our strategy would have been passing a little earlier on first down, especially. But, at some point, I do think we have to tip our hat to Indiana. And I'm with you. I would have liked to have seen, they were so committed to trying to run the ball. Well, then when you run the ball on first down and don't get it, that first down, they got 9 yards on the first play. But, I mean, they were what? They didn't get their first third down conversion till the second half. Indiana's defense was really good. They actually have watch parties for the Lightning inside of Moffett because I've been there a lot recently. That's why I had to miss, obviously, a couple days in late December. That's why we bailed early a segment last week. I've made that drive more than I care to remember.
And more than he wanted to.
Does let me keep track of what flag the Confederate soldier there is flying, whether he's flying the old Florida Confederate flag or just the plain old stars and bars. Depends on the mood.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, all coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. By the way, don't you have to cancel school today in Indiana?
They had yesterday off. How many days? What are you, working for the school board now?
Listen, you
know what you should do is give them a half day. That'll make parents happy.
And Miller and Moulton are big on kids going to school. But come on, Mark, this is literally a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I mean, or do we wait until they get back and whenever they're having a parade, do you just only do it in and around Bloomington? I mean, I don't know, but this would seem like something that's worthy of somebody taking some executive action about.
I think you're right. You know, the one, and I don't know who said it. Somebody nationally said it, and they were right. So I apologize for not giving this person credit. But for everybody that's, I don't know, between the ages of whenever you became a sports fan, like this guy earlier, the Dolphin that wants the time machine to go back to his 6-year-old self. So if you're between the ages of 6 and, 16, 18, when you're really developing your fandom.
Right.
Everybody else in Indiana is enjoying the hell out of this. I have a lot of guys that I play golf with that are wearing their colors, flying their flags, and loving every minute of it. And they should. But for them, they were never Indiana football fans. They may have gone to school there and they root for them, but it is what it is. When's basketball season start?
Right.
But, I became a big Red Wings fan for a couple of reasons. One, we finally got cable where I lived and I could start watching them because I was a minor league hockey fan as a little kid because that's all I had. And I did not have Channel 50 out of Detroit and Saginaw, Michigan, where you watched Red Wing games. But then cable came around and all of a sudden I could watch the Wings. And they drafted this Yzerman guy. And the same thing with the Pistons. They drafted Isaiah Thomas and Kelly Tripucka. And it turned them from a bad team into a fun team to watch. And then they got good. Well, you're hooked, man. When you're 16, 17, 18, and they start getting good, you're hooked. Same thing if you're 6, 7, 8, I would imagine. But for these, young kids in Indiana, they're now hooked on Indiana football, David.
Right. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Never mind the 50, 60, 70-year-old crowd that is literally trying to explain to people, no, I honestly thought, I would see fill in the blank before I'd see this.
I'd see another natty in basketball. That's what they're saying.
Well, they certainly thought they would have seen one of those.
I mean, when's their last natty in basketball? Is it the
87
team, right? The
Steve Alford.
Yeah. Smart baseline jumper, right?
He's smart
over Syracuse.
Jumper. Yep.
So that's the part that I think is even not more significant, but as significant as the title of what this will then breed in the state of Indiana. Because trust me, once you do this, the money's flowing. Cuban's not going to quit writing checks. The other people aren't going to quit writing checks. As long as Signetti's there, he's going to get the financial backing to put together a really good team. Can they do this again? I have no idea. The odds are against it. It's tough.
Imagine being Don Fisher. Now, maybe this is something more for you and I than most of our listeners. Don Fisher is the longtime legendary voice of Indiana Hoosier sports. Football, basketball for sure. He started in 1973. So he was there when, Bobby was already there. He saw what Bobby did. He was there. And then he's endured really this century. Also, Bobby went to the Final Four in 92. Mike Davis went to the Final Four in 01, I think, when he filled in for Coach Knight. And, you've been broadcasting the worst college. He's done 50 years of the worst Division I college football in the country historically. And for the last 25 years, his basketball team hasn't bailed him out. A handful of Sweet 16s, that's it. And now, when you're near the end, when you are probably discussing, when am I going to pack it in? This falls in your lap? Unbelievable.
Up until Signetti, they had 2 winning seasons this century. A 7-6 year in 2007 and an 8-5 year in 2019. This isn't what Indiana does. And now everything changes. And I do think, like I asked Terry Bowden earlier, I think the pressure that this puts on presidents and athletic directors around the country is huge.
Well, I do think if you have a president of a university who says something not overly positive about your athletic department, I do think this is the story that's going to come back to haunt you. Because think about what has transformed in and around Bloomington and all their satellite campuses. They've got them all throughout the state. It's why they have the most alumni in the country. It's not just one school. It's a bunch of them throughout the state. And you all get your degrees from IU.
It doesn't count, in my opinion, and I'm talking to you, U of M Flint, and U of M Dearborn. Just saying.
But, there are many a college president who looks at the bottom line and goes, we can't do this. There are many athletic directors that are going to look at it and go, yeah, we can't afford to go all in football. Listen, I understand it. You may go all in and not win. And it may cost you your job and hurt the university and the whole deal. But have you seen the upside of winning in football and what it does for a university? I mean, we were in the 239 at the same time 13 years ago when that basketball team went to the Sweet 16. Okay. And literally the cement wasn't fully dry, even though the school had been around for over a decade. The cement was still wet. That basketball team made it all harden and added 5,000 people to their enrollment.
Our producer, Felipe, it's why he went to FGCU.
Right. As a kid growing up in Miami.
It was before his time. When he made his choice, he couldn't go to Miami, whatever reasons. That's where he wanted to go. That's his team. His fallback choice was FGCU. Why? Dunk City. He's a hoophead. And he didn't get credentialed last night, for those that are wondering. He was working the parking lot. We were texting during the game.
Yeah, the seniority. He's he's still a newbie. He's got like 2 years in or something. Yeah, it's going to be a while before he gets credentialed for that game. Unless the sports director loves him and he's his guy. Otherwise, he's in trouble.
Yep, and that's not the case. There are people there. He said the two guys that got credentials had been doing it longer than he'd been alive.
There you go. But just an incredible story, historic, and hats off to Indiana football.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I will say they showed Fletcher go. I saw him take a punch at the Indiana lineman. If you remember early in the game, he was pointing at him. So I think that Indiana lineman did something that he found dirty. Now, is it the proper way to act after the game? No. But I think that had to do with something that happened earlier in the game. I didn't see any others yet. I'm sure there are more, Deadstroke. But Fletcher was pissed after a run. I mean, he was pissed, and he kind of went pointing at him earlier in the game. So I think that there's no handshake lines in football. I don't know. Is that the end-all, be-all? Do you have to stand out there and shake everybody's hand? I don't know. It's not the hockey playoffs. I get you. I'm not.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Seth Everett, Bud Elliott to join us on the show tomorrow. Last appearance for Bud Elliott for a while. And we'll thank him for his contributions to Miller and Moulton. Oh, yeah, we'll talk a little college football as well.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start today in 1930, the first radio broadcast of the Lone Ranger. And it was actually on WXYZ in Detroit. 1937 was the first time we moved Inauguration Day to today. It was previously held on March the 4th. Today in 53, Eisenhower delivers the first live coast-to-coast inauguration address. JFK becomes the youngest president today when he was inaugurated in 61. Not going to go through all the inaugurations. There was a million of them. Don't get mad. Capitol Records released Meet the Beatles today in the United States in 1964. Yesterday, we talked about Notre Dame doing it, but today it was the game of the century in 68. Houston defeats UCLA 71-69, ending UCLA's 47-game winning streak. They wouldn't lose again, right, until they lost to Notre Dame.
Well, no, they did because the winning streak was 88. So that was like 3 full seasons of games that they had won, and that winning streak ended in 74.
Okay, so yeah,
but that's a very historic game, though. That game was broadcast nationally. College basketball was very rarely, if ever, broadcast nationally.
Dick Enberg did it, right?
Dick Enberg, because he was the voice of UCLA, was grabbed to do the game. The game was in the Astrodome, which had only been around like 2-3 years. And yeah, and also you had Lou Alcindor against Elvin Hayes. Those two teams would meet again in the Final Four. Alcindor and UCLA got their revenge by over 20.
Today, I will do one more presidential because we like a comeback story, even if it's this guy. Nixon inaugurated today in 69. Vice president from 53 to 61. He was in Congress before that, but he lost in 60, lost running for governor in California in 62, and then won the presidential election. And that's a comeback, David.
And famously said after he lost the governor's race in 62, you're not going to have Nixon to kick around anymore.
Today in 71, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On was released.
What is going on?
77, Jimmy Buffett releases his 7th studio album, Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes, which featured Margaritaville. Peaked at number 8, his highest entry on the Billboard Hot 100. 1980 at the Rose Bowl, the Steelers beat the Rams 31-19.
Rams had the lead going to the 4th, 1917.
That's that great catch by Swan, right? Swan. I mean, there's the bomb. I remember the pitcher.
Stallworth.
Okay.
In fact, Swan got hurt in the game, and Stallworth was by himself, and the Rams had 2 terrific corners, and they played them man for man. And I believe it was Rod Perry, the phenomenal Sports Illustrated cover.
Yeah.
Of Perry in midair, diving, having just missed the ball, and the ball is about to hit Stallworth's hands running full speed, and that was the go-ahead score. Franco would score to ice it.
Today in 80, not only the Super Bowl, but Carter announced the boycott of the Summer Games in Moscow after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan.
Yeah, that was very popular.
81, not only was Reagan inaugurated, but the hostages were released after 444 days in captivity.
Are we releasing them yet? No, they haven't done the inauguration yet. Just hold on.
Yeah,
they're ready.
We're going to spit at Carter a little more here.
Yep, they're ready to go home. Don't know what to tell you. It's not noon in America yet. Wait till about 1:30.
Today in 82, Ozzy bit the head off a bat on stage in Des Moines, Iowa.
That didn't follow him the rest of his life. You know, it was just
not at all.
No,
not at all. 85 at Sanford Stadium in California. The Niners beat the Dolphins in Super Bowl 19, 38-16.
Okay, I want you to say that again slowly, because unfortunately, it's the last time one of those teams has been in the big game.
And which team is that, David?
It would be the team that lost, Mark. So it was on this date in 85, correct?
Correct.
Yep, 41 years and counting.
Uh-huh. Today in 86, the first federal holiday honoring Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah, Reagan vetoed it, and they had to override his veto. I forget why it was he vetoed it.
Today in 89, Mario Lemieux becomes the second player in NHL history to score 50 goals in less than 50 games. He did it in 44. The Pens would actually lose that game 7-3 to Winnipeg. Today in 89, Reagan becomes the first president elected in a 0 year since 1840 to leave office alive.
Right. 1860 with Lincoln, and we just went right down 1880, 1900. It was either alive or had been shot at. Well, no, because Reagan had been shot at. So, no, it was leave alive.
That's kind of how we all heard about it, because when
Right.
Reagan was shot at, that became a little bit more in the public know.
FDR in 40. He died in office in 45. Obviously, John F. Kennedy, 1960. Yep.
2006, High School Musical debuts. Vanessa Hudgens was in it. It was Disney Channel's most successful TV movie. 2008, Breaking Bad premieres on AMC. Terrific show.
By the way, quite the contrast there in the two shows that you brought up there. You went
Very much so.
High School
I've never
Musical.
seen High School Musical. I have seen all of Breaking Bad.
High School Musical to Breaking Bad. That is spectacular.
We'll keep on that trend because Hamilton premiered on Broadway today in 2015. And it was 5 years ago today that the Lions appointed Dan Campbell as their head coach. George Burns would have celebrated his birthday today. Buzz Aldrin, he's 96 and still going strong. Paul Stanley from Kiss, he's 74. Bill Maher is 70. Ozzie Guillen and Ron Harper, they're 62 today. Rich Gannon is 60. Mark Stepnowski, 59. One of my favorite all-time college basketball players. And if you know anything about this show and me, you know that's tongue-in-cheek. Nick Anderson is 58. Questlove is 55. Jason Richardson, the dunker from my hometown of Saginaw, he's 45. Nick Foles is 37. Tyler Hero, 26. J.J. McCarthy, 23. And Magic forward Anthony Black is 22. What did I miss, David?
Nothing. Got it all.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to New Zealand for the good, where a 66-year-old man who had been missing in the backcountry for over 2 weeks has now been found after rescue officials called off the search 3 days ago. He was discovered alive sheltering in a hut in a national park by a crew of contractors who were working in the area. He went hiking, was expected to return on December 30th, and never returned. For the bad, we'll come back to Florida in Stewart, where a guy was shoplifting at Publix and took off before police were called. He ran into a Panera bathroom, which was close by. Police went to get him, and fortunately, it could have gotten ugly because apparently the guy was either trying to blow everybody up or just himself, because when they arrested him, he was trying to light a shotgun shell on fire to get it to go off. The moron had it in his mouth. Finally, the ugly, we go to Seattle, where a home invasion turned very ugly. Man and his daughter were in the home when the suspect tried to attack them with a kitchen knife. The man defended himself and his family with a cast iron skillet. Skillet beats knife. He was stabbed but pounded the man before police came and arrested him. The stab victim will be fine. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, January the 20th, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Hiring new officers, offering great pay, great benefits, overtime. There are other jobs to be had if you're not ready to be a police officer. All information can be found at capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
You know, that's a very underrated weapon.
Exact. I'll tell you what, though, you do have to have a little strength to use a cat. I mean, they're not light. It's not like swinging a golf club.
No. And, you got to have strength so that you can be quick with it, because it may take one more swing.
Right.
Not just, one may not do it. Might have to follow
I've
up.
got a little 9-inch one that would be easier than the 13, the big skillet. I mean, I think I could do more damage with the little one.
Very underrated weapon right there. Cast iron skillet. I'm not recommending anybody use it as a weapon, but I'm just saying, in a pinch, self-defense, maybe, do what you got to do. So we have 7 system plays in college basketball tonight. 3 of them are like the ranked team on the road is only favored by 1.5. So this is
correct, but 2 of them are teams. One's a bigger point spread than that. 2 of them are teams that you'd really have to be paying attention to college hoop to know that they're ranked.
Yes.
Because 24th ranked St. Louis, the Billikens, are a 9.5-point favorite at Duquesne, and 25th ranked Miami of Ohio is just a 1.5 favorite at Kent State.
I'm calling for Kent State tonight. Miami of Ohio, unbeaten. One of, I think, 3. We're down to 3, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Arizona,
Nebraska.
And Nebraska still unbeaten, right?
Yes.
And Miami of Ohio. So, but we have 7 home underdogs, unranked, facing ranked teams on the road who are favored. So far this year, we are 30-24 in our system, which I believe is 55%. So we had
Lightning at home tonight against the Sharks.
I think they're home. Are you sure?
Tampa Bay's at home against San Jose, 7:00 start.
Gotcha. My bad.
And San Jose had the goalie fight last night with Florida. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, I like the Lightning, but you've got to lay a monster number. They're minus 300.
The TNT doubleheader, Bruins and Stars at 7:30, and New Jersey and Edmonton at 10.
Thank goodness they put that on instead of Rangers Kings.
Yeah. I agree.
A lot of hoop tonight as well.
7 NBA games, I do believe.
Heat on the road at Sacramento. They're actually a 3.5-point favorite.
See, that was the one I got. I remembered somebody was on the West Coast. I thought it was the Lightning. It's the Heat. The NBC Peacock doubleheader is San Antonio, Houston early. So you get a little Wemby and KD. I believe east of the Mississippi. That's on NBC. Then it switches to Peacock east of the Mississippi for Lakers and Nuggets. And then in the western half of the country, that's what's on NBC. So there you have it.
By the way, if I were to make an NBA bet tonight, and it's probably stupid, I might take the points with the Raptors. With Jimmy Butler getting hurt last night, I might take the 3.5 in Toronto on the road. Look out, by the way. I've told you, here come the Clippers. They're now in that last playoff spot with the Jimmy Butler news. How's that going to affect Golden State?
Well, it'll be interesting. Kuminga's still in Steve Kerr's doghouse now without Jimmy Butler. I mean, don't you think you got to play the guy? I mean, play him or trade him. Come on.
Right. And maybe they'll move him. The NBA loves their deadline, so we'll be paying attention to what's going on there. But, we're going to have, David, not only am I have to leave the show, you're going to have to transition to NBA and NHL while I'm gone.
I know. No, you trust me. Oh, I know you're sticking it to me. I mean, you have cancer, but you're sticking it to me.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise at Seminole Casino Hotel. We're bringing you more. With real cards and real dealers 24/7. This is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Our wedding band event is back at the Diamond District, January 24th and 25th.
Standout designers from Crown, Ajapi, and Veragio.
2 days only, 20% off designer pricing.
Diamonds, gold, or platinum. One of a kind or perfectly simple. We make it personal and easy.
20% off, January 24th and 25th. Only at the Diamond District. Se habla español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton